of my fuckers. How are we doing today? I didn't realize that my camera isn't actually on, which fucking why? Why? Let's see if we can get this fixed. But yeah, I thought we could do a really nice stream where we touched on a little bit on yesterday's stream. But I think that there are some fundamental issues that Tau have that are actually very, very fixable. And not with really that much of a fundamental change. I think that there is a lot that GW could do with little changes that would make a world of difference. Hello, everybody. There I am. It's good to see all of you. Wu-Tang Bear. Fuck you too, Jay. So, for anybody who hasn't caught any recent streams, I've taken to colloquially calling my viewers fuckers, and everybody's really sort of caught on to that. So that isn't me telling you to go fuck yourself. That is me just calling my viewers fuckers. But hello to everybody that's joining up. Pagan, my man, I don't know if you were here. I didn't see my phone. Especially all of my Twitch subs. Could you guys get some rails and some Tau guys in the chat for Pagan, who donated 150 Australian yesterday as he slinked out of the warp after fighting demons and then slinked back into it. Tau forever, 100%, dude. But thank you so much for all of your continuing support. You're fucking incredible. Wu-Tang Bear, Undead Lobster King, Stephen Phelan, Odysseus. How is everybody doing? So I think that there are some fundamental issues that we can fix, and I want to collate them and present them to GW, because we're not broken. And this is the thing that I want to start with for anybody watching this as a VOD or live now. A very, very big caveat to this is that we are not broken. We are not in a state where we are unplayable. We are on the upper side of the bottom of the middle of the pack. And that means that we don't need desperate attention. And I will say this, GW has been doing a pretty great job of balancing the game overall. The delta between the top armies and the bottom armies has really never been this close. And there are some that are hurting quite a bit, and I'm not going to say that other armies aren't having a rough time, but I think that there's always room for improvement, and I want our faction to be as awesome as it can be. And I think that any fan of any of the factions would want the same for theirs. Now, I've given GW a couple of freebies. I fixed the Ghost Kill for them. I fixed Breaches and the Devilfish for them. I pointed out the Tiger Shark, and unfortunately got that nerfed, and I'm sorry everybody that loves Tiger Sharks, even though they are still playable. We did watch yesterday's stream for a list on that. But I wanted to collate and collect a couple of things. Now, I first want to pay respects to the God Emperor Cavill. Thank you so much for watching over us with your beautiful jawline and amazing fuckability. Thank you, Henry, for being in our lives. All praise him. So let's. I'm going to open up Wahapedia. And we're going to go through, and I'm going to collect my thoughts as I go, and we're going to get them down on a notepad. Now, so you can see that I sort of presented some Riptide fixes before. I'm just going to go to the browser window because I think this will be the best way to do it, because I can full screen it and just zoom out a little bit, or have it so that it's sort of fits a decent amount of the window, so it's a good viewing experience for all of you. Now, can I grab the corner? Can you stop being a dick? That'd be nice, eh? All right. And this is where we're going to take some of this stuff, and then I'm going to email all of this to GW. So, man's already coping about the ass kicking he's going to get tomorrow. I got, you know what? You keep talking a big game. That's fine. We'll see what happens. So when I'm looking at units, there are a couple of big things that we need to keep in mind. One, there is no point presenting changes that are ridiculous for GW to implement or will step on the toes of other abilities. And this is where, like, one of the obvious things the Tau doesn't have a lot out of is keywords on their guns. And generally speaking, that has been something where we have gotten those through detachments rather than having them on weapons. Now, even though I don't like that as a design choice, I'm not ever going to propose that they redesign all of their detachments because we want to put stuff on the weapons. The last thing we want to do, the quickest way to get ignored, is to make changes that are ridiculous, don't take into account the rest of the faction, or break the game in some way. Or are just like obscenely overpowered and like nobody should consider. Because at the end of the day, we also want to have our faction in a place where people are fine to play against us. They're like, you know, the Tau hate is real. The last thing we want to do is put ourselves in a position where we elicit further hate from other factions or whatever. So we want to be good. We want to be playable. We want to fix some of the more egregious issues. And a lot of this stuff is going to be quality of life. Because like Oxcad over the weekend had a plus 50% win rate, which is exactly where we want to be, which is really great. Also, shout out to all the fucking obnoxious pricks that were attacking me over saying that Oxcad was good. How's their words taste, motherfuckers? Anyway, now that I've got my shitty stuff out of the way, let's start with the first one that I want to look at. Actually, not even Farsight. I want to look at Army Rule for the greater good. I think a lot of people know what I'm going to say here. This needs to be deleted. If we were to have anything at all, just one thing, this is at the top of my list. This is at the very top. If we got this one change, I would be happy and I would shut up forever. Just one change. The reason why this needs to be released, aside from the fact that having a downside baked into your rule is just fucking terrible, is that we have a number of really great models that do well with multiple target weapons. We look at, and this is like the best example that I can give you, is the Storm Surge. Now, I've said before that like the Storm Surge, after playing the Tiger Shark especially, that has AP1 on all of its guns, that is going to be a change that I propose for the Storm Surge. There is no reason why these weapons should be AP0. Outside of like the Twin Tau Flamer, I can kind of get that because it's a torrent weapon, it's twin linked. Like it sits into its own little sort of niche. But like all of its other, like the Cluster Rocket system, at the very least, Cluster Rocket system needs to be AP1. 100% don't at me. Cluster Rocket system needs to be AP1 at a minimum. At a minimum. Yo, what is this, the official Warhammer Tau Rider? I mean, maybe one day. We can dream. We can dream. But we have this big model that's 400 points that takes a bunch of weapons that are great into separate targets. And you don't want to use it because you're copying a -1. You're hitting on 5s with all that stuff. A 400-point model. A god of war that has multiple crew members manning a bunch of different support systems and everything else that can act independently of each other, are not able to split fire the same as a crisis suit with a single pilot inside doing everything themselves. Now, yes, they have AI, they have whatever, but my point is you have this enormous ballistic suit that isn't able to split fire effectively, but then you go to like Marines, you go to Necrons, you go to AdMech, you go to any of these other like great shooting armies, and they're freely able to do it, and a lot of them are on 3s. Like, yes, we have ignore cover, but I would lose broad ignore cover to have all of my stuff just natively hitting on 3s. Or almost every single time. It just like, and I don't hate that we got ballistic skill 4 and, you know, we have ways of improving it. But, and this is the next thing. For the greater good, creates a level of complexity that is not fun. That is my biggest thing. The complexity is not fun. So let's go on to my document. Let's go. I'm just going to push the riptide down because, like, I still stand by some of this stuff. This was just me spitballing. But let's start with tower fixes. FTGG. For the greater good. Remove line 2, split fire penalty. Next thing I'm going to propose. And this is something that I copped a lot of fucking hate from when our 10th edition stuff came out, and I argued that our faction was balanced around daisy chaining. And I said this in the stream yesterday. Actually, you know what? I just forgot. I have some music that I can play for old y'all. Where is my shit? I don't even know. Let's go this one. There we go. And that should be at a good level for everybody. Let me know if it's a little bit too loud. Cesare, thank you for the follow. Flano, thank you for the follow. So, daisy chaining was removed from Tower not because it wasn't an intended mechanic for us, but because people were shooting and performing actions in Leviathan. We paid for the sins of the action economy. And you'll notice the theme, and this is something that I'm probably going to do a video on as well, where we have copped a number of drive-by shooting nerfs. Like, for example, our Sunforgers, or really Retcad. And this has been alleviated a little bit, but we weren't the ones abusing 3-inch deep strike to ridiculous degrees. That was Aquilans. That was like a bunch of other units that were able to do this stuff in these really obnoxious ways. That 3-inch deep strike, we were paying 2 CP for. We were the only army that was paying 2 CP to do that. And other people could do it freely. And like, you know, you look at Crisis Battlesuits being able to do that. They are on the upper end of things that can use a 3-inch deep strike really, really effectively for damage. So I didn't resent GW for that. Honestly, I think that that was a balancing decision that when you look at it as like some of all the parts come together, that kind of made sense. We had these really high damage units. You wanted to be paying a premium for it and be good with your CP, your CP economy and CP discipline in order to have that when you needed it. And if you fucked around, you wouldn't be able to do it. Made sense. But we suffered for that. And daisy chaining is something that we suffered for. And there are people that had a violent reaction to daisy chaining being in, but now, you know, over a year later, we have this army rule that you need a freaking degree in physics to pull off effectively. And when you know, factor in for all like the time pressure that you're under at tournaments, the fatigue that you're experiencing, all that sort of stuff. If you have models, you can just push up and go, yep, cool, I'm on 3s. And I just remember datasheet abilities and cool, let's shoot. But then you have to have half of your army dedicated to making the other half of your army shoot better. And the effect of that is you shoot just as well as everybody else and get ignore cover, which is powerful in 10th. Nobody should say that ignore cover is not a powerful effect. It is extremely powerful. But that trade-off for, all right, I get, and then this factors in for like detachments as well, where you get your, you know, sustained hits too, you get your lethal hits, you get whatever when you're guided. Nobody else has to jump through so many hoops to get all that stuff. And then I'll like, you know, because I've been learning Necrons for one of my patrons, shout out Will. And like, you've got like the destroyers are just lethal hits, just like all the time. And then you put characters with them and they crit on 5s. That should be what we're getting from our detachments, honestly, is like when you score a critical hit on an unmodified hit roll of 5+ when guided. And then you've got data sheet abilities that have sustain, that have lethal, that create these interesting unit choices. But anyway. I feel like the Farsight Marksman is a true example of daisy chaining. Imagine how much more usable a Farsight Marksman is rather than a little bit of a niche pick, a little bit of something that like you can run, but it's maybe not the best option for you. your Farsight wants to guide people because it's marker line, and it's a great guiding piece. It's cheap, it's a single model, it's whatever. But then it wants to be able to shoot itself, be guided, so that it can get full rerolls to hit. Like, so if you could guide with somebody else for that guy, and then he can guide for somebody else, it takes the mental pressure off you in a tournament setting. Now, I don't think that removing complexity entirely is the way to fix the faction. 100% no. Do not remove complexity. Complexity is what keeps my mind engaged with this game. But when it's overly complex to the point where you don't even get an effect which pays off in a really big way for all of that extra effort, I think daisy chaining needs to be added into the army rule, and this needs to be removed. If I got those two changes, I think Tower's in a fantastic spot. And you don't need to change anything else. Literally, don't need to change anything else. These are the two major factors that are putting our army in. And this is the other thing to consider. When you look at tournament data and win rates, I've said this before, there is a massive delta between the best players on Tau and the worst players. Our army, arguably, outside of like maybe Drakari, has probably the largest delta between really good players and really bad players. The skill floor is extremely high, and the skill ceiling is extremely high as well, which is why it's so rewarding for so many people when they start wrapping their head around it. As just a point of, being kind to your newer players that are coming in, you want to shrink that delta as much as you can. And this army rule, aside from the fact that we are a gun line and people fuck around and find out with charge distances and getting tied up and not having fallback and shoot basically anywhere in the army, except for now Oxcad with fallback at the end of the fight phase. And like, don't get me wrong, we have it on Star Sides, we have it on Rip Sides, we have it on Ghost Kills, whatever. But like, what I mean is that like, it's not a broad thing like we can spend a CP for it on any unit we want, but I digress. These pain points within the army rule, I believe are the biggest thing that if we fixed, Tau would just go from being like difficult and a little bit annoying to play to being something that just kind of flows. And I said this when 10th came out. Daisy chaining felt like it flowed. And even if GW didn't intend it, I hoped that they left it in because it just made sense. Going down my gun line, my shit units didn't shoot really any better. I just didn't have to play 4D fucking chess with positioning and line of sight and who's doing what and order of operations and blah, blah, blah. And then throw on top of that, there are certain times you want certain guns to fire first because it's just strictly more efficient, and other armies just get to do that. But we didn't. We had to play 4D chess with our PhD in fucking particle physics or whatever, and that wasn't fun. And then if you wanted to shoot at anything else while you guided, you got a split fire penalty, being the only army in the game that has a downside. And it's hard not to take that personal. So these are the two biggest things that I think need to be fixed. Where's my thing? Add daisy chaining back in. If we get nothing else, these two fixes alleviate most of Tau's pain points. So that's what I want to throw forward, that if there is any world where GW watches my stuff and the changes that I've spoken about have then been implemented, so I think there's a world maybe where somebody does. If so, hello, GW. I love what you've been doing recently. Genuinely. Not as a tongue-in-cheek comment. Like, I think you guys have been fucking nailing it. And I hope you continue on that track. Please, please. It is such a simple fix. It won't blow our win rate out. And even if it looks like it's going to, I will take points increases to have this. I will. You can bring the Storm Surge up to like 420. And with no split fire penalty, it'll be fine. You put AP1 on the cluster rocket system, it'll be good, usable, not ridiculous. It'll still be too expensive to really take in duplicate because that's too much of your army. But like at least it'll be usable. Because at the moment, you're not seeing it from any tournaments. And there is a reason for that. So, anyway. Let's move on from that to unit by unit. What I would like to see changed. Preferably on top of, but in a world where this doesn't get changed. That's the caveat that, yeah. Let's go to Shadowsun. Shadowsun's the first one I want to talk about. This sucks. Get a CP back with the bearer being within 6 inches of the unit that you're spending a CP on. She's a supreme commander. She should act like Imitek the Stormlord, which is gain a CP in your command phase if this unit's on the battlefield. I don't know why we don't have good CP generation. And if you make this change, take it off the Ethereals. Take it off the Ethereals. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Nobody wants to take Ethereals anyway because they're on a 4+. Our Supreme Commander should have reliability. That's what we want her for. You know, the fusions come up so little in my games because I'm trying to protect her and keep her safe and be part of my screening network and everything else. Like, her fusions are great, don't get me wrong. The rest of the guns, meh. 2 fusion shots, gain a CP, and reroll ones to hit, puts her in a great spot. Put her up to 125 points. This, like, get it back on a 5+ is fine, and we will still use her for that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Tower's not broken, but I think her biggest drawback is not giving us a CP, especially in very CP-hungry detachments. Let's then have a look at Commander Farsight. I feel like GW doesn't want big units on the table. Ever since the Tower rules changed. Well, I mean, like, Knights and Chaos Knights have gotten a fair amount of stuff. And Tower, and this was another drive-by shooting nerf, we suffered for Wraith Knights and for Knights at the start of the edition when Towering was just fucking broken, especially when paired with Devastating Wounds. Like, Storm Surges weren't taking over the game. Townars weren't taking over the game. But we also got points increases for that, as well as the Towering change, and we still suffer a split fire penalty. That, like, there's like, we couldn't do what a Wraith Knight did under any circumstances whatsoever, especially with dice manipulation. And so, yeah, like, they are fine with big models. I just think that they're not quite sure what they want to do with Tau. And that's problematic in its own way. If you don't know how to fix it, then you've got no direction. You've got nothing to do it with. All right, so Farsight, I think in general is fine, but you're not seeing him in as many lists as you would like outside of Retcad. Now, Retcad, he goes in for the CP. If we have Shadowsun able to freely generate CP, Farsight can go into more of an aggressive role. And I think the Puretide's teachings probably should be something more like once per battle, this unit can benefit from the Montkar detachment rule. This unit can benefit from the Kalyon detachment rule. Something where, because we used to be able to select those things, but having Farsight, I don't know, give you something more, or this unit can advance and charge. Just something that allows you to actually use his Dawnblade and have this cool model that's going around, because he is known as a very aggressive Montkar style unit. And yes, he's got +1 to wound when you're within 9, but I think that reduce the CP cost of a stratagem by 1 in something like Montkar. Let's look at that detachment. You basically don't get to use anything other than like auto advance 6, which is good, don't get me wrong, but there are cold stars that give a 12-inch move and, yeah, well, you got Assault for Montkar, but give it throughout the entire game. And you can just have good CP economy to spend 1 CP, give that unit auto advance 6 if you need. Pure Tide's teachings in its current iteration, I feel like steps on the toes of other abilities. Now, the question then becomes for Retcad, does that make it so that Farsight's unit is there? But like Deep Strike within 6 is good for flaming units. And this is actually, I saw a comment somewhere before, and I'm sorry I haven't been paying too much attention to chat. I don't want my brain to lose some of the ideas that I've got or go off on tangents because I love me a fucking yap. But, and I've even just lost it off saying that. In Retcad, everything is still fine. 6-inch Deep Strike is absolutely fine. 3-inch Deep Strike was great for the melters, but now your other units that benefit from Retcad a lot more, which is your Burst Cannon Star Sides, your Flamer Star Sides, any variation of your Fire Knives, honestly, they, really enjoy the GW gave them a little bit of love. So Farsight, I think there is something cooler that we can do here. Honestly, I don't know exactly what I would do, because I think I would need to know what else might be changing with the faction before I said anything here, because again, we don't want to present changes that are just like ridiculous, overpowered, and have an unexpected interaction, which GW falls into sometimes, even with their balanced team or whatever else. Chris, how you doing? Good to see you. Give anything with weapon system to ignore modifiers, period, like Custodia's got. Don't even need to change the army rule and just take care of Crisis, Storm Surge, and Riptide. Joey, I would argue that's a band-aid fix. You don't need that if they just remove that line from the army rule and allow all of our units to shoot like every other unit in the game. I think that's the thing that I see so much when people present fixes, and this isn't strictly about you, this is just me extrapolating. People want to present band-aid fixes because they don't want to seem like they're asking for too much, or they kind of pussyfoot around what the proper fix is. And I have zero reservations about saying that if that line from our army rule is deleted, we have nothing but quality of life upside for Tau. Straight up. Was there an announcement Tau getting changes, or is this just fun exercise? A little bit of a fun exercise, and I'm also leveraging the fact that I, since the start of my channel, have recommended changes that have somehow found their way into the game. So like Ghost Kills, for example, in 9th, fucking sucked. And I argued very early on, if they removed the or closest eligible target from the cannot be targeted with ranged attacks thing, that Ghost Kills would become like an S tier unit. 10th came out shortly after, 6 months or something after that, and Ghost Kills were given Lone Op. And all of a sudden became one of the best things that we had, especially the initial form of our index, and it's still very playable now. Then, Breacher Fish was suffering and nobody was taking it. I said specific point values they needed to be at, and then those got implemented on the very next data slate. Now, all of this could just be random chance and whatever, but if I do, in fact, have a platform where they will listen to me, and if I present good ideas, they will implement them, that's what I want to do here. So that's essentially a hope and a dream that GW hear me, and we can get some quality of life stuff to make our faction amazing, rather than a little bit overly complex or convoluted or whatever. But yeah, so Ethereals. Let's talk Ethereals. Now, they now have For the Greater Good, which is fantastic. I missed something in my last stream because I wasn't thinking about it. They can take a marker drone. So you can give them Marker Light and Advance and Guide, which is kind of cool. We got a 50-point unit that for each of them, you roll a d6 and a 4-up, get a CP. They act as guiders. They can be off the board and generate CP up to turn 3. And come on when you've had to spend a few of your guiders to trade, and then you've got other Marker-like guiders coming on from Strat Reserve. If, and I know we've got some things here. Actually, I need to keep up with the Kardashians. So let's go Shadowsun. Gain a CP in the command phase. Guaranteed. All right, then. Okay, let's look at Ethereals. In my opinion, because there's not like Ethereals are playable at the moment, but if Shadowsun gets changed, take away the command phase, roll a d6, leading a unit, feel no pain, 5+, get rid of that. This is a terrible, terrible ability. Not because it's terrible on its own, but because you cannot make them lead a unit where that matters. Our Fire Warriors are paper. You want Feel No Pains going onto things that have a good defensive profile to start with, that then allow a force multiplier. Look at any other army in the game. If you've got something that isn't natively defensible, nobody will take Feel No Pains or whatever else. They just don't find their way into lists. And GW can want this stuff to be good as much as they want, but there are certain inalienable truths, which is that when you stack defensive buffs on an already defensible unit, it has an exponential effect on that Feel No Pain, that extra defensive layer that you're giving them. If something's paper, a Feel No Pain isn't going to change shit. It just means they can't be one-shot by incidental fire. And if you're paying 50 points to not get one-shot by incidental fire, why not just position and stage in a way where you're not taking incidental fire until you've traded? That's what most good players in the game will do. So this is good for like beer and pretzel players that don't play with a lot of terrain. They're not playing hyper competitive, whatever. It's fine for them, but it's not for tournament play where you're actually expecting people to play it effectively. In my opinion, both these abilities removed, elemental invocations come back. Especially with the new model that they released, which actually I've got to put together. I think that'll be the next thing I put together in my hobbying streams. Because that new elemental invocation Ethereal looks fucking incredible. Get out of here, Dan. How to fix Tau, delete the faction. Do you know, I know that you're joking, it's just bans, but I'm actually getting fucking burnt out on people hating me for my faction. Like, there are a lot of people that are like, they say it as like a ha-ha, I'm joking, but I know they actually mean it. Like, it's enough that I took Tiger Sharks to an event, I had people walk past my table and tell me to go fuck myself. Not in a joke, not in anything else, actual hate, and I'm getting pretty fucking sick of it. Again, not aimed at you, because I know that, you know, you love your bands and you're a bit of a shit stirrer, but yeah, it just like, I don't know if it's anybody else, but like, yeah, most of the 40k fandom can go fuck themselves. But anyway, someone was in a Discord call and they were bashing me for liking Tau. I actually like, I at the moment, when somebody does something like that and I can kind of see through the banter and it's not actually them, just like, because like I know Dan takes it as good as he gets it, as he gives it, and that is somebody who's actually engaging in banter and isn't being like a fucking horrible human being. But like, there's plenty of people, and you see this a lot, where somebody wants to say or do something shitty and they're using humor to mask it, and they're like, oh, it's just a prank, bro, why are you being upset, you snowflake, ha 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 ha. And like, yeah, I actually like, I will put a little mental mark in and just be like, all right, you're a fuckwit, I don't want to talk to you. And like, they just won't really get anything. But yeah, but anyway, I digress. So, sorry, just had to, had a notification there. Elemental Invocations. Elemental Invocations was such a cool ability with the Ethereals in 9th, and while they weren't always broadly useful, I think there's a way to actually fit them in to the state of how Tau plays right now. So, I think that like you've got the Fire Invocation, you've got the Zephyr. What were the old... Have I got my 9th codex somewhere? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Give me a sec. I'm going to get my 9th codex, and I'm actually going to go through, because I can't remember the names of the invocations, and we're going to build off that. All right, so let's go to Ethereals. I got 9th here. God, this is taking me back. Because I'm a 9th baby, I have a lot of love for 9th edition Tau. I have a lot of love because this was me getting into the game and stuff. Okay, so Ethereals, where are you? This model knows 2 invocations from the invocation of the Ethereals, which is page 76. I forgot they did this. They didn't have like datasheet abilities. For anybody who hates on 10th edition, they really have done well with putting all of their rules in one place. But anyway. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the hobbying thing, and I can actually give you guys a top down so you can read along with me. Let's do that. Now, is my cam on up there? Let's go that. Let's go hobbying. And of course, you're being a piece of shit. Let me fix this. I apologize. No, that's not it. Yep, all right. CV10, you are the one being a shithead. Let's go that, and let's go that, and you should be... All right, I'll need to unplug that and replug it. Hang on. Love having to jump through those hoops. All right, so let's actually, we might even be able to make this a bigger... Oh no, stretching that to screen won't work. So let me grab this and put it on my main screen so I can see what you guys are seeing. It is Invocation of the Ethereals. Here we go. So we have, first and foremost, Storm of Fire. Oh wait, hang on. I think I've got to flip it horizontally so you guys can actually read it. That's insane. I've had to jump through some hoops to get this here, but big shout out to all of my patrons, to Pagan, to everybody that's made getting this stuff viable for me. Wait, hang on. No, it's flip horizontal, and then it's flip vertical to change. There we go. Hey, look at that. Always, Jay, it's the supreme professionalism that brings us back every day. You're welcome. You are so fucking welcome. It's ridiculous. And you know what? I'm going to put the cam here. And, yeah. There we go. There we go. All right, you can see past the screen. I don't give a shit. So, let's have a look at what we got. So, Storm of Fire was select a friendly unit within 6. That unit can make ranged attacks without any action it's performing failing. Shoot in action is actually kind of something that we could use in this edition. Sense of Stone. Each time a core model, remember core being a key word, in that unit would lose a wound, 5 up, feel no pain. So you could have Sense of Stone, keeping the datasheet ability that they've got. Now, I think that like the core restriction was a good one on that, because you don't want to be putting that on like, I mean, no, you know what? Honestly, putting it on Riptides and stuff would give us a little bit of staying power. Pagan with the $20 super chat, allow Ethereals to stay the same, but they can be attached to a second leader, to a 10-man strike or breacher squad. That would be really cool. Yes, I would love them to be able to join even with a Fireblade. Zephyr's Grace. Within 60 Ethereal, each time a ranged attack is made against that unit, if it did not remain stationary previous movement phase, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And Power of Tides, 1 friendly Tau auxiliary unit within 6 of the Ethereal. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And then you've got Unifying Mantra, which is when you're around them, reroll morale test, remember morale test, and add 1 to combat attrition test taken for this unit. So, and then you got Wisdom of the Guides, which is gain a command point if this invocation is inspiring. So you could take one of six invocations. So, with that said, going back to our browser. Is this how books in Oz look like? You'll read backwards too? No, we're actually the right way around. You're reading backwards. Let's get this out of the way so you're not seeing an infinite loop of my ugly mug. So, if we were to implement this, I think Storm of Fire, shoot and perform an action is actually a really nice inclusion, especially for a leader unit, which is giving us something else for taking them. They are our supreme leadership cast. They should do something to order the people around them. Sense of Stone, 5 Feel No Pain. Love it. Zephyr's Grace. Subtract 1 to the hit roll if they didn't remain stationary this turn. We don't really have any access to -1 to hit. That could actually be good for our crisis units. Ethereal in a crisis suit? Oh boy. Let Ethereal lead broadsides? That might be too much. I mean, it's kind of lore accurate because broadsides will be sitting over the horizon back at like HQ. So, I mean, yeah. They should be able to lead crisis suits. The invocation were designed to go on crisis suit bricks. I think that like Ethereal's leading crisis suits, I'm going to go lore reasons here. And I know that this isn't the best argument position to go from. Like, it shouldn't do it because, like, crisis suits are frontliners. You do not put a commander on the front line unless they're commander in battle suit because they're protected. But, like, Ethereals are the most valuable leader unit that Tau has from a morale perspective, from a perception perspective, whatever. And if they're leading your forces and everybody relies on them, getting them killed early is a bad way to do it. Like, armies throughout history have always kept their leaders in safe positions unless that leader is like a warmonger that wants to run in and start chopping people up. But anyway, and usually they roll with like cavalry, which is shock stuff. Sarah, how you doing? So, Zephyr's Grace I think is fine. Power of Tides, I actually think this should be a heal. Pick a unit, heal D3. Like, you got one dude. The same model cannot be targeted with this ability twice. Like, we've already got like Tech Marines can do this for vehicles, and maybe you pick like infantry wouldn't really work because we don't have multi-model infantry. I think a heal would probably be fine. And you give them the ability to pick 2 of these invocations. Wisdom of the Guides, I don't think we need because we have Shadowsun doing that. I think really you only need the 4 elemental invocations. But yeah. So, Tau's all have a lot of hoops to jump through to make their army detachments work compared to other armies. I'd like to see some stuff come back like Orange Gauntlets and Nora Invul Sands on Hammerhead. I think in the current iteration of the game, ignore invuln saves is a bad slippery slope for us to go down. Because then we started seeing that everybody else got it. And I think invuln saves at the moment are probably in the most healthy position that they've been. Because GW actually considered the problems that they put forward in 9th edition and have sort of rectified that a little bit. So I can't say I agree with ignore invulns. I would love to see my Onager Gauntlet come back. I cannot tell you how much I would love to see Onager Gauntlet. At the moment, I will do what I would like to see released later, which would be like, Fusion Blade suits and Onager Gauntlets and everything else. This is fixing the faction right now. So that is our 9th edition codex and the invocations that we had. So, Ethereal. Remove CP ability. Add elemental invocations. Now, the Ethereal changing like this, I think is more of a crapshoot. I think them adding in all of these new abilities is the most unlikely thing to happen because GW have shown, and I think maybe rightly so, that they're not strictly willing to like rewrite data sheets outside of people getting like codexes and that sort of stuff. Something needs to be significantly broken. So this one is just me wanting our Ethereals to be cool again. I fully understand if GW doesn't go down this route because then that also, and this is the other thing we got to consider, this opens up a precedent for other armies to be like, oh, well, I don't like this, so like change this data sheet. And then it creates pressure where pressure shouldn't exist. But yeah. So, actually, you make a good point. Tides could probably just be +1 OC and +1 leadership. The problem with that is that it steps on Oxcad admired leader. So maybe I don't want to go down that route because that's one of our big caveats. I don't want to step on existing abilities. That would be a mistake, in my opinion. All right. Everything else, honestly, is fine. Everything else is fine. The Farsight would benefit from the daisy chain fix. The split fire penalty would help out like the Cold Star, Enforcer, Farsight, all that sort of stuff. Breacher teams are perfect. Don't change a thing. You guys are amazing. Just whatever. Strike teams, I wanted to put AP1 on their guns previous, but now that Oxcat is out, their guns going to AP2 might be too much. It might be too much for an infantry unit. So I think strike teams are a little bit of a write-off until we get to the next edition. Devilfish, you're perfect. Don't change anything. Tidewalls. Tidewalls, Tidewalls, Tidewalls. Tidewall units. This one for me is super simple. Let's just start with like the shield line, for example. So, oh, actually, there's something that I do want to point out that a lot of people might not have picked up on. And it was a stealth massive buff to the shield walls. Did you know that in Montcar, Tide Walls cannot advance and pick their guns inside for firing deck, meaning that they're functionally useful? Because they have the assault abilities, which is weapons with assault in their profile. If a unit that advances turn contains any models equipped with assault weapons, it's eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advances. Tidewall Shield Line has no ranged weapons. It cannot get assault. Meaning that in Montcar, where you can give it an advance move, a scout move, you then can't auto-advance at 6 and be able to shoot it. It was one of the major failings of the cooking that I did when we got the book, that eventually all of that like fell apart. And yeah, so then we've got a couple of other issues. They're OC 0, even if they're filled with Fire Warriors, which, what the fuck? So, and the other thing, they don't have for the greater good. We're lucky to even have fortifications, let alone one that moves. Well, just because we're lucky to have something doesn't mean that it can't be usable, functional, and great. And that's the thing that, like, nobody, for a game that we are paying money for, should just accept that, well, it's lucky to exist and let's not, whatever. I would still like to present fixes that I think would make them playable, because from GW's end, if the Tidewall series of units become playable, not overpowered, not broken, but playable, they stand to make a fortune in people meta chasing and buying them. So it is in GW's best interest to hear me out on how to fix these. First things first, while this unit has models embarked within it that have the for the greater good rule, which you don't even need that line because nothing can embark in this that doesn't have for the greater good. So while this model has units embarked within it, this model gains the for the greater good ability. If the units inside have Markerlight, also gain the Markerlight keyword. So then you load them with high value stuff. When the model's empty, it doesn't do shit, which a Tidewall shouldn't. When it's empty, it doesn't do shit. But when it's filled with Fire Warriors that have their little laser designators that they're hitting with people, they're operating the equipment, they're doing everything that they would, like, those models shouldn't be considered that they don't exist anymore. They should be that they exist, and the model gets better when it is filled with bodies. Then this model gains OC equal to the amount of OC of models within it. So you don't get 2 per Fire Warrior body, you just get 1. But if you've got 10 models inside it, it has OC 10. If it's got 20 models inside it, it's OC 20. You actually give it the amount of bodies that are within it so that it can hold objectives, and this thing isn't friggin' useless even while it has people within it. Like, why can all of those guys inside a defense platform designed to hold area, take space, and control objectives, not control objectives? Are there any objections to what I've just put forward? I don't think there will be. So, Tidewall units. While a unit is embarked within this model, gain the for the greater good ability. While a unit is embarked... actually, also, I don't need to write that twice. Also, gain OC equal to the number of models embarked within. You change nothing else, and our Tidewalls go to usable. Now, the other thing, what I was bringing up before, did you know that in OxCAD, it doesn't function like Montcar does? If you spend a CP for alien expertise, your movement phase, 1 Tower Empire unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced. Not it has assault, it is eligible to shoot. Firing deck. Some transports have blah, blah, blah. When a model is selected to shoot in the shooting phase, this is what bricks it in Montcar. Assault doesn't just allow you to be selected to shoot. If you don't have guns and you have the assault ability, you are not selectable to shoot. Therefore, you're bricked. But, sounds like a lot of paperwork for a model that still won't get used much. Good solution though. I mean, is it a lot of paperwork? It's while units are embarked, get better. Like it's as soon as you wrap your head around something that might be a little bit on the wordy side, but really it won't be. Like, let's write this out as GW would. It's a greater good ability. Also, gain objective control equal to the number of models embarked within. You've got like what is 2 lines of text. 2 lines of text to fix all of their problems. And they would go to extremely usable. Extremely usable. Not overpowered, not broken. They are still big, they're unwieldy, they have a slow movement speed, but they are usable, is the big thing. I don't know. Sam, if you're watching, Pagan, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Tidewalls gain OC, a number of models inside, agree? Yes. Yep. Sam, you can post that if you want. I don't mind. Just put a spoiler over it. Let people know that like they can make a choice to click on that. But yeah, I got no problem with you putting that in there. That's absolutely fine. These are Bite the Bullet, any of the fixed forts and aircraft, will just send all of them to Legends. I hope they don't send them to Legends. I really don't. I think that having multi-dimensions to our game actually makes it better for everybody. Be it casual players, be it tournament players. I like having a broad range of things. The more stuff goes to Legend, the more complexity and interesting stuff gets removed from the game. Like, I get why certain things are going to Legends. Am I happy that Long Strike went? No, honestly, no. I loved Long Strike. I think that he's really, really great. Also, that is Pagan's 5th super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much, buddy. So, that is my suggestion for Tidewall units. And if anybody was doubting if I know what the fuck I'm talking about, that should be an example of me not just coming at this like a fucking moron. I genuinely think I have some decent ideas to fix this. And GW, if you watch my stuff, please, for the greater good rule, I'm gonna bring it up again. Please just give us this at the top. If nothing else, please give us this. But if you want to fix these units, this will put us into a great space and you will sell more models. You will benefit from this because Tau is an extremely popular faction. Crisis suits were your biggest sellers over any Marines. And what do people love to put with crisis suits? Stuff that can play the game for them so they can do damage. So please. Anyway, that's our Tidewalls. That's how I'd fix them. Bye, baby. Have fun at work. Broadsides, fine. I have Star Size, Sun Forges. Don't need to be fixed. Don't need to be fixed. They're fine. They're honestly fine. I don't see any reason why these need to be fixed. They're in a great spot. Ghost Kill, you are perfect. GW, you already listened to me on the Ghost Kills, and look at that, they're perfect. I can have no greater thing on my resume than the exact thing that I proposed, making Ghost Kills fantastic. Hammerheads, don't change them. Love them. Carnivores, Fast Stalkers, Crude Hounds, Rampages, Crutox Riders, don't change them. Love them. They're absolutely fine. Pathfinder team, love them. Absolutely fine. Don't change a thing. Piranhas, absolutely fine. Don't change them. Razor Shark, fine. Don't change them. Riptide. Riptide, 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 Riptide. Now, I have had some time to think on my proposed changes for these. Let's just chuck this down there so it comes up on the screen a little bit. If Split Fire isn't removed, this unit ignores Split Fire penalty. I think that needs to be on the Storm Surge, the Taunar, and the Riptide. Can I beg for a different ability on Broadsides? I think I've rolled that Feel No Pain once all edition. It is getting better in the current meta because Dev Wounds got changed to be Mortal Wounds that don't spill over. There are a ton of Dev Wounds in the game at the moment. They have a Feel No Pain against Devastating Wounds. You will want that. You will want that, honestly. It hasn't been usable throughout most of 10th edition, but finally, Broadsides are coming around. If your opponent takes a bunch of Dev Wounds. Which is reasonable. Maybe Melter range 19 inches for Sun Forges, but that is a greedy ask. All right, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because that is a pain point for me. I don't like that most of our fusions went to 12 inches, especially because Marines and Sisters and whatever, they have a bunch of 18-inch melters. I don't understand why ours had to go to 12. It puts them in such a terrible position for Melter 2, and now exacerbated by the fact that you remove 3-inch Deep Strike from the game. We can never access our Melter bonus. I do think that their Fusion Blaster should be 18 inches. Sun Forges are not in a great place right now. We're paying 150, and let's not mince it. Sun Forges are point costed around what Retcad gave them. Getting their Melter bonus and having an invuln save. That is why they're 150. Even though Fire Knives are inarguably more usable than them and will do more damage over the course of a game. So Spectre, I don't think that's a greedy ask. I think with the change that we got to Retcad, make them 14 inches. I think that's perfectly reasonable. We got stealth nerfed. They gave us the change, so we've seen that they acknowledge that, you know, we got sideswiped. We got, like, we need to have some sort of compensation for that to balance it out, because it's fine if something was point costed a certain way. And then the game changes, the rule changes, like, that's fine. That happens. That's all part of it. And GW are doing the right things over time for the health of the game. At the moment, Sunforges either need to get like a 20-point cost reduction, or 14-inch melters don't change their stuff. 18-inch melters would be my preferred. But if you can't do that, absolutely fine. 14-inch melters. I think that is a fine change. Let's chuck that in. No, I actually wanted that up. We'll bring up the notepad. Sunforges drop 20 points, or 14-inch melter. Fine. Actually, I'm going to say melter guns, not melter ability. Melter guns. Actually, 14-inch range on fusions. I don't want any of this to be like, because obviously I'll word it differently when I email it to GW, but I don't want any potential for confusion. So, Riptides. The 14.5, take it or leave it? My God, he's playing hardball. Plasma range should never have dropped below 20. To be honest, I think you're right. I think the plasmas are in a really weird state right now. They suffer from, we don't have 3 hard points. You only take 2 of them, so you have a limited number of shots in a high value fire knife unit. And unless you've got stacking buffs to put on them, they can be extremely weird to use. All right, all plasma. Return to, I think 24 might be too much from, GW's eyes. And I'll reiterate, we don't want to ask for ridiculous shit. The quickest way to get ignored is to ask for stuff that they can't possibly do. And walking back on a change that they made is an admission that they got it wrong, and that might not be what they want to do. But I do think a little bit of a compensation, because basically nobody's taking plasma fire knives. To 20 inches, I think is perfectly fair. Let's just go all units that can take plasma. I think that's perfectly fine. All right, Riptides. I think that I like this a little bit better. Dev wounds on Ion. Dev wounds on Ion Accelerator. Actually, yeah, Dev wounds on Ion Accelerator. And then we have, but I mean, that's solidifying the choice. See, the hardest thing with the Riptide's guns is that, like, you can't put some of the things, because, like, I don't really want dev wounds on the heavy burst cannon, because then the heavy burst cannon just becomes the thing that you take, because you've got more shots at damage 2 to get through, which means you've got more chances at dev wounds. So you just see everybody kind of going to that potentially. Do you know, plasma rapid fire isn't a terrible idea. If they leave it at 18 inches, that would give you a reason to drop plasma suits within 6, because then you're getting that half range rapid fire at 18 inches. Well, sorry, at 9 from the 18. 20 or rapid 1 and stay 18. I think that's fine, honestly. I think that just puts them into a place where they're... The issue that I see with that, though, is that, like, missile pods stand out because they're 30 inches, 2 shots, and they have less strength, AP, and damage. If these guys have 2 shots as well, you'll just play around the 18. Because with a cold star, you can do that. So, I don't think they can. Genuinely, I don't think GW can put rapid on them. I know I see people saying that all the time, but I think, like, from a competitive player's standpoint, we will take the best thing, even if we have to jump through a little bit of a hoop to get to it. And rapid fire plasma, you are able to get that pretty effectively. I don't think GW can do it. I don't think they can. I'm so keen to be proven wrong on that. I would love to eat my words on that. 100% I want to be wrong. But I don't know that they can do it. Plus 1 AP into non-vehicle, non-monster. That then stacks with Oxcad, becomes the best choice. So this is where we've got to look at the things that we can layer onto these effects. What are our other weapon keywords? Let's look that up. The rules, do we have like a, let's just go, not keyword. Do they have a list of all of the keywords of the weapons in the game? Data sheets, maybe, or is that just every data sheet in the game? That's just every data. That's Eldari data sheets for some reason. Okay. Let's go core rules, and then maybe we can control F keywords. Or is it under shooting phase, range attack, locked in combat? Okay. Let's go control F keywords. Blah, blah, blah. That's no. Data sheets, keywords of this model, list of them, psychic weapons, AP ballistic skill. Yep. Okay. No. It's characters, infiltrators, raiders and rubble, keywords. Let me just go sustained. Okay, yeah. So we've got, here's our stuff that we can get. Weapon abilities: assault, pistol, rapid fire, torrent, ignore cover, lethal hits, lance, twin linked, indirect fire, blast, melter, precision, heavy, hazardous, sustained, extra attacks, anti, devastating wounds. Do you know, honestly, I don't hate rapid fire for the Riptide. Agree? It'd be rapid fire. What's its number of shots again? God, you can see how long it's been since I've actually played the fucking heavy burst cannon. It's 12 shots. So if we just go like rapid 6, like that's not a ridiculous ask. Rapid fire 6 on burst cannon. And then Nova Charge. I think, honestly, that I prefer... Because I want to avoid jump, shoot, jump. Because that steps on Retcad. And we don't want to remove cool stuff that another detachment has. We want to yes and something. We don't want to go, well, this is just a strictly better thing of doing this. And then shoehorn or pigeonhole people into a specific way of play. Lethal hits on plasma fire, that steps on Montcar. Again, we don't want to step on something, but yeah. Anti-infantry for the Gatling. Anti-infantry could be reasonable, but you're already wounding most infantry on 3s. So it doesn't actually give you as much. You know what? I think once per turn. Movement is 12. Five plus, feel no pain. Or, what would be our third? Movement to 12, 5 plus, feel no pain. Or OC of 6. Now, the reason why I'm picking that stuff, the Riptide in its current iteration within the meta and what Tau players actually use it for at the highest level, it's not actually for its damage. So the damage is good, don't get me wrong. It's not a dedicated fire platform. You have something which is T9, 2 up armor save, 4 up invuln, and is able to go and stand on objectives and exist. It's like the only thing in our index, outside of like a Ghost Keel, that can exist in the open and not just immediately say bye-bye. Like, you do that with a Hammerhead or a Skyray, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. These guys can do it. So like I was saying, when you've got something that's defensible, you want to give it an ability that can then exponentially increase that at moments that you need it. So movement 12, you go a little bit faster. 5 up, feel no pain. Maybe that actually does need to be 14 to move it, but is that too much? Because being able to get angles easily, like this thing is point costed and balanced around being 10-inch movement. I think maybe 12 is the mark. 5 up, feel no pain, or OC 6, because sometimes you will need the Riptide to out OC somebody and be able to start actions on an objective to exist to your next turn and make sure that you hold an objective towards the end of the game where damage doesn't matter. This is just a fish folk not assimilator though. Well, I mean, there's plenty of data sheets that mirror each other and make it so that, like, if a rule is good, there are plenty of other ones that will use them because it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Make it so you can only use the Nova Charge with one model per turn. I think, and this will be the other thing, points go up to at least 200. Maybe more. I think if it gets this Nova Charge ability, it goes to like 210. Because we are getting a better effect from it. And actually, you know what? Even with that Nova Charge, yeah, actually, we're going to put this in the Nova Charge ability. Because otherwise, the points have to go up so much to the point where it just, like, it ruins the model. So we're going to get rid of this. Once per turn, you choose that. And once per turn in your command phase, choose that. Dev Wounds on Iron Accelerator, Rapid Fire 6 on the Burst Cannon, plays into the like usability of the model, the things that you're already doing it for. Rapid Fire for the Burst Cannon, it means you're going after like infantry, terminators, that sort of stuff, and doing that a little bit better. And you're having to give up a Feel No Pain or OC6 for the pleasure. You still go up to something like 210, but I think a once per turn ability is the mark that we might want to hit. Thoughts from chat? Because the Riptide is something that I think is maybe the most difficult model to put into a good state where it doesn't automatically become taken triplicate. That is something that you want to avoid where you don't play anything else. Riptides are just the answer. We want to avoid that. But yeah, so OC6 is reasonable, but I wouldn't use that. I just use the 5-up Feel No Pain. To be honest, OC6 is the most cuttable thing. What else could we see fitting into a niche that isn't overpowered and broken and is a reasonable choice against Dev Wounds on Iron Accelerator, Rapid Fire 6, or Feel No Pain? Maybe we even get rid of that altogether and you get a choice of 2. Give yourself a damage buff or give yourself a survivability buff. Because both are usable. And there is a world where you take both at different stages during the game. And that's really what we want to hit. We want to hit a mark of then being no one good answer, but giving the player options to solve problems. I think these two, once per turn for 210, is a perfectly fine place to put the Riptide. Because it is a big model. It is a big model. It is defensible. We should have to pay a premium for it. But that premium needs to be fucking worth it. And at the moment, 190, Riptides are struggling to make it into a lot of my lists. There is a chance that I take Double Tide to Masters, but it's also not a guarantee. And I'm having a hard time validating them outside of that they can exist and they can live and they can give 18-inch lone op and whatever, and they can stand on my objectives after my trading pieces have gone. But then for, you know, 380 points, I can put in like 2 hammerheads and then a bit more. I can throw in double razor shark. There's a bunch of different things that we can do. Both models can use the ability. There's no reason why one Riptide using his thing threatens him, but we also do, and I think this was something from 9th that was fine that they shouldn't have gone away from, roll 1d6, take d3 mortals on a 1. You make it into a hazardous thing. There's risk reward. It's a good effect. It's powerful, but you can't do it if your Riptide's basically dead because you'll threaten it dying. Or you take that risk and then go, all right, if this goes off, I win the game. If it doesn't, I lose the game. I'm a gambling man. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Change the at least 210 because they might make it 240. All right, let's go. Points go up to 210. And I think that, like, you know what? And I'm also going to remove this line because I really want them to remove the split fire penalty. I don't want them to consider a world where they don't, because that needs to change. It's just such a bad ability. In 9th, we had 2d6 if it doesn't go over your health. I think I want to keep it in line with every other model in the game at the moment, because there has been a standardization. A lot of things do this where it's roll a d6 on a 1, take whatever. Could also do a leadership check, but where leadership 7, you fail that a lot more than you would want. I think a 1 on a d6 is perfectly fine for this. Honestly, I think it is. So, that's the Riptide. Skyray, perfect, don't change anything. Stealth suits, don't change anything. You're perfect. Storm Surge. Storm Surge, Storm Surge, Storm Surge. This one is such a difficult one because it, like, most of what I want is that this guy doesn't take a split fire penalty. If they don't give it to the rest of the army, this guy and the Taunar have to have it. They have to fucking have to ignore the split fire penalty. You will not take a massive ballistic suit if it hits on 5s when it splits. Why the fuck would you ever do that? At 400 points, no less. 400 goddamn points. I just... So. They did my boy Reptar dirty. They did Reptar dirty. Honestly. Storm Surge. Ignore. Split fire. No matter what happens. Just straight up. Cluster Rocket goes to AP1. The other thing, which is a real pain point, why does our Pulse Driver Cannon have Blast and Heavy, but our Pulse Blast Cannon doesn't have Blast? Can anyone explain that for me? It's such a simple thing, and it's really just because I imagine they wanted this profile to be like this. Which I love the Pulse Blast Cannon because it's damage 12. But to be honest, the Pulse Driver Cannon is actually the most usable thing on this model. Because the Pulse Blast Cannon focused is 24 inches. We have a Lord of War with a giant fucking 12 damage railgun that can't go more than 24 inches. Like, I understand the small guns only going to 12, 18, 24, 30, whatever. That's standardized. A Pulse Blast Cannon with a focused shot, you are putting everything into sending, like the railgun, sending that shit at the speed of sound to, like, obliterate something over the horizon is what the Storm Surges are used for. Just swap the names and call it a day? Kinda, yeah. Yeah. Pulse Blast Cannon goes this. Pulse Driver Cannon, focused and dispersed. Anyway. I do think, though, the Pulse Blast Cannon dispersed profile should have Blast as well. It should have Blast. If you're paying 400 points, like, that's such an easy fix. But the biggest thing that I find is that, like, if this is going to be 48, at the very least, this should outrange it. The focus shot should outrange it. I'm kind of flummoxed by this, honestly. Pulse Blast Cannon. Focused goes to 60 inches. Swap Driver and Blast Cannon names. You sociopaths. Yeah. You can't blast engaged units worth having blast in a lot of things. The like, we need to keep them out of combat anyway. If our opponent can tag them, that actually puts this into a more balanced state where, yeah, okay, so your dispersed profile, that's really, really great. You've got to be really careful with getting your Storm Surge tagged. Use your screeners, use your positioning, use whatever. And, you know, like, even if they don't change the range, okay, if you want to get aggressive and use the focus profile, you won't get to fire in combat and use your dispersed profile. There is trade, there is balance and whatever. But if you play well, blast lets that 6 shots, maybe get a little bit more. Now, the problem is that, like, this isn't a variable number of shots. So I get why they didn't do it, because that is a standardization of the rules. So this becomes the pulse blast cannon. This is the pulse driver cannon. Done. Easy. Fine. Call them names. Thanks, Zé. Enjoy watching the VOD. Wouldn't be surprised if an accident for the name, given the Codex has the Ion and Fusion models for the Ghost Kill swapped. Yeah. And you know, and this is something that I feel like GW cop maybe an unnecessary amount of hate on. Not GW the corporation, but the actual, like, the devs, the game designers. They have a limited team. They, from what we understand, maybe don't have the QA department that they should. And so stuff like this is going to fall through, and that happens. It's human error. It's, yeah. Obviously, like, it's embarrassing for GW, the corporation, when it happens, but not because the designers are shitheads. GW needs to give them more resources. They need to give them more time. They need to, like, have proper amounts of QA staff and everything else. And they need to be, like, up on, like, a part of their job is you've got the time to learn what every weapon looks like, what every, you know, model looks like, blah, 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 blah. So I think that, like, you know, hate for the corporation is fine because they should do better. I think the designers cop an unnecessary amount of hate. Sarah redeemed a volume warning for everybody. This is going to get loud, so you've got to turn down your stuff. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Sarah, for redeeming your points. Destroy missiles be 2 attacks, so that would be 2. Like, destroy missiles, I think, is fine because you've got the driver cannon, the blast cannon with destroyer missiles. That's absolutely fine. One of the big problems that the Storm Surge suffers from isn't its tank killing ability, although the pulse blast cannon 24 inches fucking sucks. The biggest problem that it has is that it's good at anti-tank, but then when it wants to split fire into its infantry, Pagan, thank you for your 3rd super chat. Riptide has 2 or 3 options. Storm Surge walk over 4 inches, anything. I'm fairly certain Storm Surge can already do that with 4-inch or lower walls, which was a change in the balanced data slate that was really, really good. The Riptide, I am proposing you pick one. Choose one of Dev Wounds or 5-up Feel No Pain. So you get one or the other. That's what I'm proposing. Drop podcast. Do you agree that we are a mid-tier, lower mid-tier army? I had this data debate the other day on Facebook, but the tournament results do kind of show that. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Now, one thing I'll argue is that the delta between, like, the top tier armies and the lowest tier armies has never been closer than it is right now. We are still on the lower end, but I keep saying to people that, like, Tau, it's a hard faction to work out exactly where we are because the delta between the lowest tier player and the highest tier player is fucking enormous. Like, the skill floor is so high on our faction, but the skill expression you can have on the highest end is enormous. So, yes, we are in need of a little bit of love. And this is a caveat that I put at the start of the stream. And for anybody who's joining us now, I will say it again. We are not broken. We are not at the point where if we don't get love, we are unplayable. This is me as a massive fan of the faction wanting to take away the stuff at the top. I want these pain points removed. This will make it so that newer players get a lot more out of the faction. And when you're playing in tournaments, you don't have to exercise your fucking degree and spend like 2,000 calories of brain power like a fucking chess player to try and get the most out of your army. But if anybody makes the argument that we are unplayable, they are either disingenuous or they're stupid. Because we are still perfectly playable. most people run into the problem with Tau of not being able to position correctly, having poor list writing stuff, or not respecting their opponent's stuff and maybe talking to them about their abilities, planning in advance. We're an army that does very, very well with good positioning and planning. But yes, I would argue we are at the higher end of lower tier. What about disingenuously stupid? There is plenty of that in the world. There is plenty of that. But yeah, so that would be my take on where we are. We are fine-ish. We could use some love. Oxcad is a really good step in the right direction, and I'm so glad that I called it early. But yes, there are, and that's what prompted me to do this, that there are other areas that we could have that take away those pain points and put us in a really great state. I don't think we're unplayable, but I find it incredibly difficult to make a GT winning ret card list. Don't get me started on building with a new Oxcat detachment. What the fuck do we do with it? So I have built a number of very, very good lists for this. Check out some of my previous streams, because I've actually, especially some of the New Year's stuff, I've given quite a few freebies for everybody that's been watching for like where I'd take stuff. Essentially, my golden rule for Oxcad is that if I'm taking rampages, I go up to about 800 points accrued at a maximum, absolute maximum. If I'm not taking rampages, it's more like 500 points accrued. Then everything else is guiding and damage. I think a lot of people are going way too far on Kroot and not realizing that it's not Kroot hunting pack. Kroot hunting pack, you have 5-up invuln, so taking all that Kroot means you've got defensible units, and everybody, do you remember me talking about layering defensive buffs and having an exponential effect? You put like the Flesh Shapers in them, 5-up invuln against shooting, 5-up Feel No Pain after you've killed something, 6-up Feel No Pain before that, makes the bodies extremely difficult to remove in one activation. And then you've got a bunch of other tricks like reactive lone up and all that sort of stuff. That is fine when you're going heavy into Kroot, but Kroot Hunting Pack offers a lot to those units. Risu has gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much. That I believe will maybe start a hype train as well. Sarah, you are amazing. Thank you everybody that just got your rail guns and your Tau Guy emotes. Make sure you flex those. But yeah, so Oxcad, no rampages, don't go over 500 points of Kroot, roughly. If you are going rampages, you can go up to like 800, 900 points, depending on the tech pieces you want to take. Do not take too little damage or you will lose the game. It'll just be unplayable. Just started watching, curious to see someone else's take on current towers. I'm not super thrilled playing them in 10th. If GW listen to me, as they have in the past, when I fixed the not the Riptides, the Ghost Kills, and I fixed Breaches and Devilfish, if they remove these two things, our army goes from the top of the bottom tier to like middle of the pack, upper side of the middle of the pack. This removes so much bullshit. Odysseus, not to be outdone, gifting 5 subs. We have a hype train on the way. Thank you, everybody. If you would like to join it or potentially get a sub gifted to you, make sure you join us on the Purple channel. That is where a lot of my gaming streams, hobbying streams, that sort of stuff that I don't put on YouTube because I don't want to like gum up everybody's feed with all the stuff I'm doing. Make sure that you're following me over there. Otherwise, you will miss out on a ton of streams. Odysseus, Sarah, thank you both so much. You are incredible. Enjoy the emotes, everybody that just got their subs. All right. So yeah, remove these two things and much of the complexity in the army. Oh, sorry. Remove line 2, add daisy chaining back in. Our faction becomes so much less complex and becomes fun to work with and play. And it opens up models like our our Storm Surge and like our Town Null. That is the biggest problem that they're having at the moment. Thanks, good advice. They made Riptides bad again with points. Please suggest they fix the goddamn Storm Surges. That's what we're doing right now. Riptides are not bad at 190, but they're also not either auto-include or really powerful options to take in triplicate like we were before. Double Riptide lists are still perfectly serviceable. They are absolutely serviceable, and I'm considering them for the invite-only tournament that I am going to at the start of Feb. But they do still have some problems. And they're an underwhelming data sheet for 190. They just offer the army something that we don't have anywhere else, which is T9, 2-up armor, 4-up Feel No Pain. If you can't kill me, you've just soaked all that fire, and then I get to kill you with all my other stuff in return. So Everybody, we are 76% off a level 3 hype train. So if you have a Prime sub, if you're inclined to sub using your hard-earned dollars or gifting them, then absolutely jump in, because if we get to that level 3 hype train, we unlock more emotes for everybody to be able to use. And there is this guardsman. I'm going to bring this up. There is this guardsman that I absolutely want to get and be able to use, because he's dodging fire and shit. I love that. I would love to get it. So, yeah. And there's other emotes that we can get as well. But it's random, and I don't have a choice. So the bigger the hype train, the more emotes we get. Anyway, I digress. Storm Surge. AP1 on the cluster rocket system. Ignore split fire no matter what happens. They need to remove that, but if they don't, storm surges do not function with a split fire penalty. Cluster rockets AP1. Pulse blast cannon focus goes to 60. Swap driver and blast cannon names. You fucking sociopaths. If you don't adjust points, that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen to make this a playable model. If you don't, we're never going to see it at events again. We're straight up not. Like, it's a T11 2-up, 4-up, but it's a big fucking model with 20 wounds they can pump a bunch of fire into. And Risu gifting another sub gets us over that to the tier 3 hype train. Thank you so much, Sarah. You're amazing. And also, I didn't realize this. Hype trains also function with bits. So if you've got bits that you want to throw my way, that will also further the hype train. So that is the Storm Surge. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the Towner. Vesper, don't change. They're perfect. Love them. Love them. Absolutely love them. So, Towner at 790 points, not ignoring split fire penalty is fucking criminal. Absolutely criminal. If you're going to invest 2/5 of your army and you're hitting on 5s with your array of guns that want to go into different targets, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking fucker. You think they're legends the town are? I hope not. Maybe. Maybe. Isn't there a stratagem from Kalyon that you can somewhat get past the split fire penalty? You can, but it's hit on 3s at the target you're shooting, hit on 4s for everything else, and don't get Markerlight, don't get whatever. So, but that stratagem for Kalyon should be that both units are going into the same target to get that benefit. That shouldn't be, well, we've got ignore split fire penalty. Again, I'll say this, people keep suggesting band-aid fixes rather than remove, like, if you get stabbed in the gut and somebody goes, oh yeah, but if we put some gauze around it, the blood's not really getting away, so that'll, you know, that's okay, we can leave the knife in, and like, you just exist like that forever. Guys, what if we take the knife out? Guys, what if we didn't get stabbed in the gut? Isn't that a good way to go? Guys, if we didn't get stabbed in the gut? So that's what I'm shooting at. So Scared Towner will go to Legends here before I buy one and get to use it. Well, time to jump on it. Got to spend that $7,000 to get one. Really fucked up putting Tetris as Legends. They easily could have made those plastic. Okay, so this is something that I don't think a lot of people are tracking. GW legending a lot of stuff and trying to move away from Forge World is actually them being good guys. At the moment, the resin production that they've got using a bunch of old equipment is actually extremely bad for the environment. It is a driver of climate change, and they are actually removing that, updating all of their production facilities and opening them back up without having massive environmental impact, and will likely start rolling back out a lot of the favorites in either better produced, maybe not resin, but whatever the product is, or to sending them to plastic kits. So GW doing this, I actually stand behind, is GW being good guy GW, and some of it is because it's not selling, and that's fine. But like, while they're updating their production facilities, we as consumers have to take a little bit of a bitter pill, but that's the world we live in, and I would rather not have my planet fucking burn than, you know, have that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's fair. Just give us plastic. Yeah, and that stuff takes time. They have to develop the molds. They have to potentially, you know, they want to do like a re-sculpt like they've done with Eldari and a few of those other things and give us a better product. We've just got to wait for it. But yeah. clarify, you can't give Pathfinders +1 to guided and Kalyon to 2 enemies. Town are only split to those 2. You wouldn't get penalty. What did I just read? To clarify, you can't give Pathfinders +1 to guided in Kalyon to 2 enemies. No, you can't, because after you guide for another one, that then becomes your new spotted target. Town are only split to those 2. You wouldn't get penalty. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. One of those targets is your spotted target, and the town arc can't be guided twice in one activation. You pick one unit, that is its spotted target. And then anything else it shoots at, the Pathfinders can guide for another unit after that, and that becomes their spotted unit. But you cannot split the town arc twice. Which might be fine to guide the Towner, like a Towner can be guided by 2 units. But again, I feel like all of this is Band-Aid fixes. Just remove Splitfire. Just remove Splitfire. Don't forget with a lot of Forge World stuff, it is old, actually, sculpted model kit bashes. All the new stuff is digital sculpts. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Pathfinders don't have 2 spotted units. They change which units they're spotted unit. Absolutely correct, Loopy. Absolutely correct. So that, I think, the Towner is really, like, its guns are fine. Unlike the Storm Surge, all of its guns have some measure of AP. They have half decent strength. It makes sense. Oh, we got our hype chest. Everybody, what do we get? We got the drop bear with a red card. All right, choo-choo, motherfuckers. Enjoy your drop bear. That is actually pretty fitting that I'm from Catachan, and Catachan is full of drop bears. Almost had Towner hitting on 2s into 2 units. That shouldn't be possible. By almost, do you mean like if you had have been able to guide 2 targets? Yeah, you would have been able to with heavy and whatever. But yeah, so I think the Towner is relatively fine. It targeting a spotted unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. This again, you want to go into the same target, but there are no models that people are taking where you want a fucking Towner to deal with them. So yeah, just Towner's in a rough spot. Storm Surge is in a rough spot. I'm not going to talk about the Manta. It just got removed from the store. RIP. I think maybe that's going to Legends. But, yeah. Town Empire Titanic units are equipped with auto-guidance systems. Requires no guiding +1 ballistic skill and suffers no split fire penalty. If the split fire penalty isn't removed, but again, I don't want GW to band-aid us. I want them to actually go after the knife that's sitting in our gut. Rewind and listen from the start in a bit. So sorry if you've already talked about this. Thoughts on suits still being T5 in addition where everything's toughness went up? I think it's fine. I think it's fine, honestly. Like it continues with Tau having to position correctly, and crisis suits shouldn't be extremely tough. Like them being Terminator equivalent actually kind of tracks. Like we shouldn't be infinitely more tanky than Terminators, in my opinion. Yes, we're vehicles, and that puts us in a little bit of a weird place, and that's a decision the GW made rather than giving like the battle suit rule that we had in 9th where you could fire out of combat and whatever. They gave us vehicles so that we could do that, and there's other, things that come with us, stop us walking through walls, which I hate, but I understand. But yeah, T5 is fine. T5 is fine. So AX-10 Tiger Shark and the Tiger Shark, I don't think any changes need to happen, honestly. The Sun Shark Bomber, I think that's fine too. Genuinely, I think that's fine too. I think the Tiger Shark, if it's going to be at 325 points, should be able to shoot on the turn that it comes in. But I get why they're piss scared to do that, because when aircraft are good, they take over the game. That said, I am considering Tiger Sharks and Razor Sharks, not in the same list, unless fucking Lazy Phoenix gets his way, in which case, if it will, which is only going to happen if the goals that I've set, because our streams have gotten kind of fucking wild, which I don't understand why my viewers want this, but anyway, our Patreon goals are that if our Patreon gets over 1,000 US a month, I will post feed pics on YouTube for a week and do an ASMR foot video, which, again, why the fuck do you people want this? But anyway, and the second one is if I get to 2,000 US a month, I will do a hot tub stream. Fuck, I hate you all. And our Twitch goal is that if I continue getting more than 100 subs a month, for the next 3 months, I will take to an event, likely at a GT level, a Tiger Shark, double Razor Shark, double Sun Shark Bomber list. Which will not be fun to play, but it will be hilarious. It will be hilarious. Wait, hot tub stream? Yes, that is something that has been laid down. You have until the end of the year to achieve these. I'm going to give you to the end of the year. 2025, let's do it. $1,000 is I am forced to post feet pics with my fucked up hammered toe. That is a bit of a unique sort of thing. Onto YouTube and do an ASMR foot stream. Not stream, video. 2,000 USD is a hot tub stream. And Chell was actually like, fuck it, I'll join you for that. But yeah, Razor Sharks are best sharks. They are pretty good. Can't you still put it in the corner? No, you can only pick one side of the board to be wholly within 6 of. That doesn't work. That got clarified. Really want to incorporate the Sun Shark into Ox, but I haven't seen a spicy list yet. I think the Razor Shark actually looks better. So I have a bit of a spicy list. If anybody would like to get access to all of my lists, all of my Shadowsun and above tier patrons not only get coaching from me, but get access to all of my lists anytime they want. So if you would like to join the Discord, get access to all my lists, that is one of the best ways to do it. But this is Towner. Ignore split. It has to. It has to. Just remove that line of text and you fix most of Tao's problems. I don't think anybody will disagree with me on that. I'm not expecting a lot of pushback on that. It was the star at the baby shower, to be sure. I was so upset that at our baby shower here in Sydney, because Chell had one in Adelaide, and we had one with all of our like really good friends and our team members and a bunch of like people that I love very dearly. And 5 minutes in, we're talking about feet. 5 minutes. Not fucking cool, everybody. I need aggressors. I don't have any aggressors. No, sorry. It's something that like I may expand my marine collection eventually, but like Space Wolves don't really use them, and you know I'm all about the puppies. Uriel has redeemed. Show some chest. Miss, you're not around me, are you? Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, and I'll even push them together for you. There you go. I don't know why people want this, but it's like you keep redeeming them. I don't know why you want this. Enjoy the chest. That is bad guy GW? Yeah. Is the other issue though, right? With all the changes, etc., it's like, why aren't the costs just drastically slashed on digital rules? The paper rules become useless. So, yeah, I haven't thought enough about it to properly weigh in, and I don't like speaking about something unless I actually, one, know what I'm talking about and have a good idea of like, I don't just like presenting problems. I like to talk about stuff if I can add something to the conversation of how it could potentially be fixed and adding solutions to the conversation. So I think that we are in a bit of a weird way where like digital rules has been fantastic for the game. But I think if we want GW to continue on as a company and doing well and expanding and giving us a lot of the things that we want, like us, like I actually enjoy buying like rule books and that sort of stuff, which I'm fine with. I think that if they go to a model where digital rules are just the easiest thing for you to be able to purchase and get and whatever, like they could do like a pack on the website where you buy a code for every codex that's going to release, make a killing on that, because like that's a bunch of codexes that I'm not going to buy. Like I'm not going to buy the Necron codex. I'm not going to buy the, you know, the friggin' Admech codex or whatever else. So you have people that are paying you money that you wouldn't have gotten before. They get their digital rules, and then you've also got a book for like collectors and that sort of stuff, or people that want to play the stuff early before it's on the app, like with advanced releases of, you know, Deathcore of Krieg and the Astra Militarum thing, and they did that with Sisters, they did that with Tau, they did whatever. But I haven't seen enough of GW's financials to know what sort of a revenue stream the paper rules are, but they have made massive strides in giving us digital rules and having FAQs and everything else just available on the internet straight away for everybody. So, yeah. You've given the internet power. This is the consequence. So, genuinely, I don't know if that is bad guy GW. Like, at the end of the day, they're a corporation. They're not going to be our friends. Their entire goal is to make money, and that's fine. But that making money needs to be in service to our best interests, which is where a lot of companies fall down. And so riding that line between... Because, like, you know, when there's a lot of cool shit, like, nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody loves to buy. So you put out a bunch of cool shit, you put out cool rules for it, whatever, the income will naturally come from that. And if paper stuff is what makes that happen, then yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give too much of an opinion because I genuinely don't know enough that I should deserve an opinion on it. But yeah. How are you using aircraft raw? They can't come on and stay on the board. If they cannot, do not, at least their move. They have to go back into reserve, which can't be done at the reinforcement step. They can come on and stay on the board. What do you mean? You put them on, especially if you rapid ingress them. You get to move them on your turn. They move a minimum of 20 inches, and then you rotate them 90 degrees at the end of the move. So if you plan on a rectangular board, there are a bunch of times where you can like have an aircraft on the board for the entire time. And because they're coming on no earlier than turn 2, a lot of the time I only need them for like 1 activation, maybe 2 activations, and they've gotten full value out of them because they ignore they ignore bases and are only blocked line of sight because of walls, which like the reason that aircraft I think are in a playable state right now is that Tau struggle to get on top of staging points. And people can hide behind walls and we can't see them. We can't jump the wall on the other side and they're able to freely punch us from there. Aircraft removes that completely. And you just get to go, fuck you. I don't care if you're hiding, you are dead. And that is a really powerful thing for us to have access to. It also gives us backline access to remove things like the home objective or side objectives or whatever else from a unit that might be really obnoxious for us to get on top of. So yeah, good night from Scotland on my last break at 4:35 a.m. How long till the show? How long till the show? What do you mean? This is a show. We just did it. This was our event. Moody, are you in the past, Moody? But also good to see you, buddy. On the reinforcement, you are not making the move. They break the aircraft rule and cannot stay on the board. No, they don't. No. What? On the reinforcement, you are not making the move. They break the aircraft. Okay, I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna go to TTS. I'm gonna show you. Camera hub, can you go away and stop being a dickhead? What you being a dickhead for? Stop being a dickhead. Let's go to live scene. And I'm going to show you because I think you might have either I'm misunderstanding you because of text and how, you know, like the internet works, or you're misunderstanding how aircraft rules work. And either way, it means that there's an opportunity to fix it. So let's go into TTS and let's have a look. Towers the main was playing Votan, but they feel incomplete, so I've slipped on them. Been looking at Deathwatch or Eldari as a second, but I haven't played either of those yet, so I don't know. I really just want Votan to be complete so I can buy them and paint them with a retro NASA theme. That sounds really cool. I am waiting desperately for the Votan second wave to come out. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But yeah. 2016 GW had done a lot of work to turn around a bad image, and then Duncan left and we kind of went backwards. I don't know. Yeah, Well, I didn't know about any like internal workings or whatever, but even just like look at the Grotmas detachments. We genuinely got an awesome like free bit of content, an expansion to the game, all that sort of stuff. Like that was a win. Their balancing department is a win, and like no company is going to be perfect. No company is going to be perfect. And I am the first person to call GW out for their bullshit when they do something that I think is fucked. Because I won't sit here and accept somebody giving me less than I believe I deserve. But yeah, I think that I have noticed in my short tenure within the game that it's been improving at least. But anyway, like I said, I don't know a ton about internal working, so I won't comment on any of that. But I, as a consumer, haven't been wholly upset with the way that the game has gone and what's been going. Like, not everything's for me, not everything should be for me. But yeah. So let's do this. All right. We were going, what was it? Hammer and Anvil. I've gone past it, haven't I? Whatever, I'll just do this. So, aircraft, start the battle in reserves. So, reinforcement step counts as making a normal move. Aircraft states they cannot make a normal move at least 20 inches. They go to reserve. No. Okay, I thought so. You're misunderstanding. Counts as made a normal move is for things like heavy bonus. It means that you count as having a normal move, so you cannot count as being stationary. But there is also in the rules commentary, count as having a normal move doesn't mean you made a normal move. And I know that sounds insane and it doesn't make sense. But that doesn't break the aircraft rule. Setting up from reserves is count as having made a normal move, but you haven't made a normal move in this turn. So you start in reserves, you come on, either set up from rapid ingress or on your turn, and then you go forward your 20, and then, or more because you can go infinite, and then you pivot. And that's how I'm using aircraft, to just do these little shenanigan bullshit. I could basically stay on the board for the entire game. Now, yes, your opponent can try and move block you, and that's fine. You're being a dickhead, but anyway. And then we go like this. So, but that's part of the game, and you're going to be shooting, and you're going to be doing whatever. So, yeah, no, you're mistaken on that, that you count as having made a normal move. Same thing from like getting out of a transport, where you count as having made a normal move. That's why our Pathfinders can't pile out of a Devilfish and get the heavy bonus for their iron rifles. It's, yeah. Reinforce rules specifically so they count as making a move is a misunderstanding. Yeah, okay, yeah, so I got to that eventually. Thanks for the stream, by the way, something to listen to while working on a Friday. That's awesome, Apocalypse. Sad to hear you're at work, but hopefully it's over soon. And there's going to be a ton more streams like this coming. We are moving towards doing this full time. So if people are enjoying the stream and you want to support the channel and make it so that I can actually do this full time, Patreon or YouTube membership is the absolute best way to do that. Solid income that happens every single month is the way that I can move away from a traditional job and actually spend my time playing 40k, teaching people, playing games, all that sort of stuff for people to enjoy as content. So if you are any bit inclined to support the channel or just get access to the Discord, because once you, even just 1 month within our Patreon or YouTube membership, you are in the Discord, and I don't remove you until you do something shitty enough to get removed. But yeah. 10th is great for competitive play. I don't like how terrain works for 10th though. This all shape, basic bitch, ITC terrain is bland and gets really old, like the old school narrative looking terrain. So yeah, for flavor, variance of terrain is great. One of the problems that you run into once anybody is competitively minded at all, even in casual settings, people work out like how to play the most optimal stuff. You need to have at the least, you need mirrored terrain. If my side of the board has more favorable terrain to yours, I just win the game, straight up. I actually quite like the ITC terrain because then the variance in my games isn't on did my opponent just have better terrain or in player placed, like did they just get first drop and they put down in the GOAT position and then the game is just over from there. And it's more about choices that me and my opponent made, our list design, our roles, that sort of stuff. So I do very much favor that, but I am a competitive tournament player at heart. I am not the sort of person that wants to be a beer and pretzels gamer because I am way too fucking competitive for that. It just finally made it in, so you posted in the Tower group. Crazy seeing you on that Facebook Tower group. Why is it crazy seeing me on the Facebook Tower group? I've been in there for a while, actually. That's where I got my start. That was before there was a YouTube channel. I was just putting random ass videos up on those Facebook groups, and then people were enjoying them enough and be like, hey, I looked for your YouTube channel, where is it? I'm like, well, I don't have one. They're like, okay, well, you need to change that because like it'd be really good to listen to you talk about this, that, and the other. So yeah, been there for a while. Cool enough. There was a funny thing we found at our LGS and thought it was silly. Yeah, so if anybody argues that, there are two parts of the rules commentary that cover that. You count as having made a normal move, but you have not made a normal move this phase. So aircraft are perfectly serviceable and enjoy playing them because they're honestly great. Was I right in the comment where I basically say you missed how we were in 7th, 8th? Can't remember. I basically say you miss how we were? What? You made a comment basically saying that you miss how... I assume what you're saying is that you miss how Tau were in 7th and 8th edition. I didn't play 7th and 8th. I'm a 9th baby. So I can't really weigh in on it. There we go. I'll approve that. He's been in there for eons. What are those drones the Tiger Shark can carry? They are a long-forgotten relic of when we had tactical drones that were in the Index, got removed for the Codex, and they were the last vestige of drones as they were in 9th and previous editions. That's how I know the channel. Yeah, that's where a lot of people actually kind of find me from. Like, the Facebook traffic is fucking enormous. But yeah, 7th and 8th editions. Yeah, that's what I figured he meant. But yeah, I have no knowledge of that. I basically didn't start playing until right before Tau got their Codex in 9th. And even then I was playing Grey Knights. I wanted to play Tau, but somebody was selling a Grey Knights army for disgusting cheap. And I wanted to learn the game. I wanted to sort of get into it. And Grey Knights look cool. Yeah. Oh, you sweet summer child, you missed the Riptide wing. I have heard about it. Run 9 Riptides. I am sad that I didn't get to play it. But I'm not sad that I didn't have to buy 9 Riptides. That would have been enormous. On Facebook, someone said you were daft for making this video because we don't need fixing. If I've learned anything about the internet, it is that we have more people that should not be allowed to have an opinion than people that should. And, like, they didn't even watch the stream to see any of my caveats of, like, that we're not broken. We, need a little bit of love because we're at the top of the bottom of the pile, and that I want our faction to be awesome. Like, they can be as upset as they want, but why, as a Tau fan, would you not want pain points to be fixed and have our faction be the best iteration that it could possibly be? That's like... And damn, you got in when I had no idea you were leagues better than me. I asked about coaching. If you DM'd me or something, I'm sorry if I missed it. I didn't see any coaching stuff. If you're interested in it, go to the either there are Patreon tiers where you can get coaching every month. Join Pantheon tiers where you get like a shitload of it. Or there's on my website, there are links in the YouTube description where I've got a bunch of coaching packs and that sort of stuff. And if people are inclined to get coaching, I'm shutting all of my coaching down on the 30th of January as my kid is being born in early February. So I want to be able to focus on that, and I won't be opening it back up until Chelsea and I stabilize as parents. It's crazy, brother. I'm also a Tau, Grey Knights, and Votan player. I do wonder if there's a link, and this is a complete left turn. Away from stupid people who shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion. That, like, I wonder if there are certain... Because there are personality traits that make humans similar to other humans. And, like, for example, this is a real extreme example, but in people who are constantly in abusive relationships, there are personality markers that they see in other people that they equate to certain personality traits, like, oh, they're really passionate, or, they really care, and they really want me to be around them all the time. But what it's actually is that they're, abusive, manipulative, they're possessive, they're whatever. And it means that people that are inclined to get into a abusive relationship will often do it multiple times in a row without learning the lesson from the last person. And, well, again, extreme example, but more what I'm getting at is I wonder if there's something about things like Tau, things like Votan, things like Grey Knights, things like Eldari, things like combat armies like Wheaties and that sort of stuff that broadly appeal to people because there is something within that faction or that play style that is, like, if you're interested in one of those, there is a good to moderate chance that something from the others will appeal to you as well. Or if it's just, you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And by that, I mean be in the game long enough to just own fucking everything. But yeah, stop calling me out, Jay. Well, if you are trapped in an abusive relationship, I genuinely apologize that that wasn't a shot at anybody. And I really, really hope you're able to break that chain. But if it was something else, but yeah, playing Tau and Votan is like being in an abusive relationship. Bullshit. Playing Tau is the greatest honor that a person can have. And if anybody disagrees, fuck you. But yeah, and like that abusive thing, I don't say that as like an observer or whatever. Like, most people don't know, I have a Bachelor of Psychology. I actually, after I got out of the army, studied psychology because I spent so much time counseling the boys I came home with for things like what would be diagnosed later as PTSD. And I really like felt a lot of value from what I was doing and was looking at it as a career. And obviously my career took a bit of a turn with what I do now, where I probably won't use my degree again from the job that I've got as an employee now, which I'm not really allowed to talk about. And what I want to do, which is doing this full time, I may never use a degree in psychology again, but that was one of the things we had to study. That is a very, very well documented pattern within abusive relationships. But yeah, I'm sure he does love you in his own way. It's only when he drinks, right? Oh my God. I was, but not anymore. Fortunately, we just play. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're not anymore. Everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody. Under one X play. Oh, okay. I'll have a look at it. I never really bring up any socials and stuff when I'm in stream, so I'll have a look at it later, bud. But yeah, if you are interested in any coaching stuff, have a look at the links I've got in the YouTube description. That'll take you to where you need to go. But congrats. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. My LGS is very melee elite heavy. It's annoying to play Tyranids, World Eaters, and Black Templars all the time. Yeah, it can. And that's something that makes it so that, you know, shout out to the RTTs that I run through the Discord. And I'm going to be looking at running a GT as well after we stabilize with the baby. But playing digitally or playing in like big tournaments means you get to play different armies, because it does get extremely boring just playing against the same people all the time. So like LGSs are fine. And if you're somebody who's a beer and pretzel gamer and you just play your friends and whatever, that's fine. You maybe won't get to play games all that much, but like as tournament players, with the amount that I try to play when I can, if I'm just playing the same factions over and over again, it does get like boring as fuck. It's, yeah. We're on an abusive relationship with GW pricing models. Fucking facts. I like TTS. I don't like my couple tunnel acting up, nor my shitty desk chair. Yeah, Chelsea and I have actually done a pretty good job of like investing our money into stuff for our personal comfort. I think that that's one of the best ways that I can spend my stuff. So I'm just looking, I've gone on to the socials and stuff. There's, I'm having a read of some of this stuff. I'll read your comment now, Tony. Okay, so to answer your comment, I'll put it up because I want to kind of, like, it is funny to laugh at some of the stuff. How am I getting angry reacts from this Eric Wieland dude? Guarantee probably will never, like, fucking watch the video and find out. Like, see, this is what I mean, where, like, I don't want to comment on something until I know enough to have an opinion. I'm getting, like, angry reacted and, like, lolled at and whatever, where people haven't even watched what I'm talking about. Go back and watch this, and anybody who's been here for the entire thing, name one stupid idea that I put forward or something that isn't actually a concern for Tau players. Name anything. Anything. But opinions are like assholes. Every motherfucker's got one. But anyway, so wait, so he angry reacts me and then says, how about giving us fucking shield drones back for one? That's something you want fixed. Why are you angry reacting me and then saying something that, like, you would want back? What? Oh, anyway, so, yeah, to answer your question, dude, I think that everybody will benefit, and it's hard for me to say because I am somebody that, you know, hasn't always had money, so I never make recommendations on somebody being like, yeah, spend your money on this. Playing games with members of the community, especially if you know people or there's somebody that you trust or whatever, you get on with really, really well, you let them know that you're a little bit newer and you're, you know, going to be taking a little bit of time to learn the game and you want to wrap your head around it and learn from them or whatever, that's a great place to start. Reps do a massive amount of work in solidifying things, and I think that people don't want to put in those reps because they're scared about like either wasting somebody else's time or looking foolish or whatever. But I think that that's like, reps are a great way to go if you spend some time just reading over 10th edition rules. There are a lot of stuff that will take time and you will learn across the course of your games, but seeing stuff actively is the best way for somebody to see it in our brain. We are all visual and experience-based learners. There are some people that do better with reading or listening or whatever, but there is not a single person that can say, oh, I saw something being done and I'm more confused. Like, we do very well with experience. I do coach people that are completely brand new, haven't played anything of 10th, and we go through some very basic stuff. It solidifies a lot of stuff very, very quickly. I won't make a recommendation because it's your money, and it's, you know, value to a person is very, very specific to them, and no other person can say, yes, this is worth it. No, this isn't. But if you're wanting to learn quickly, coaches are a very good way to go. Myself, Art of War, Grundy, whatever it might be, whatever person you align with and you feel comfortable training with and whatever else, that is the person for you. You will learn quickly with them. That said, it can be hard if you don't know what a person's training style is like, personality is like, whatever. But I mean, there's a few options that could be cheap jumping in points. Like, for example, Art of War have just like the War Room access where you can have a look at how they do things, get their Discord, like watch some stuff, whatever. And I'm more than happy to shout people like that out because, you know, like Art of War have sponsored tournaments that I've had. And I genuinely believe that like rubbing shoulders with the best players in the world is a great way to start elevating yourself up. Like, everybody would know from life, you hang out with shitters and you become a shitter yourself. You hang out with the best at something, or people that are better than you in terms of accomplishments or personality, or, you know, higher than you in your field. At work, if you hang out with people that are fucking excellent at their job, you get lifted as a result. You become a reflection of the 5 people you spend your life around. So if that is something that matters to you and that you want to do, then yeah, join Grundy's Discord, join Art of War's program. Like, they have a lot of success from their stuff. Join my coaching and my Discord. I have a lot of success with some of the people that I've been working with. Whatever works for you. Grundy seems too pro, you seem chill. I don't know why my brain read that as like a backhanded compliment. Like, yeah, Grundy seems really, really good at the game. I'd rather just like, you know, go, but I appreciate the compliment. I know you meant that really well, but yeah. I have a whole 3D proxy Tau army, but they hate proxy, so I'm starting super late. Yeah, that's honestly, it's a good place to be. You start small, you work your way up, and I keep encouraging everybody that can play at events, even if they're just small RTTs or leagues or whatever. Experience wins the day, always. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, pirate all the designs and print 3 of every model, boys. I mean, I have plenty of printed stuff that I've had fans send me or whatever. Like, there's like with the world going to shit, like I love plastic models as much as I can. Like, I got my Votan and I was really excited to actually have like a plastic army for the first time. I took the time with the, you know, the dudes on the inside to actually paint them. And I had, you know, my best friend Rachel, she bought me a fucking, I think this was hers, actually. I think she bought me this. And like, having a plastic model was really good because GW shit is actually great. Actually fucking fantastic. But there are some times with the world going to shit, inflation running wild, all that sort of stuff, like, you know, sometimes you do need to do the best thing for you and your family. and you want to play the game, you want to engage with it, but you can't afford to do everything in plastic. Sometimes printing is a good way to go, but I always, when I'm in a position to, make sure that I will speak with my wallet. And if GW releases something good and they're doing a lot of stuff that I support and I agree with, I will support them with my wallet. If they're doing shitty things that I don't like, that's when my wallet will close. And that, I think, is a perfectly fair stance to take, honestly. You're worth it. Jay's a great teacher. Just do it. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. But yeah, so like, lol, tower working great. I'm not sure what you would fix other than crisis. This is probably one of the less egregious comments that lols at me. But crisis commanders back in Codex, hammerheads having the option for cluster munitions. That is actually fucking based. Like, he lolled at me at the start of the comment. That is actually fucking based. Hammerheads with submunitions is something that I would really, really, really want. Even if it's just like, instead of shooting all of your guns, you can make a submunitions attack. I would take that. It would move the hammerhead from strictly only vehicles, and once vehicles are dead, you're fucking useless. Like, the Skyray gets a lot of damage over time. It is a very, very good over the course of the game piece. Hammerhead's first turn activation does so much more damage, but then after that first turn activation, or if you've got no vehicles left, the hammerhead sits there with its dick in its hand and just run it onto an objective and let it die. But submunitions would be fantastic. Fusion Blaze is more of a wish list than a fix list. Honestly, that's the Crisis Commanders I don't think are coming back. Really, I don't think they are. But yeah, the Grundy maneuver, you explained his move, and I got it better than when he explained it. I have the gift of the yap. It's true. I do. I was in Grundy's for a while, but it feel a bit inaccessible. No shade, I just know if the program was for me, and that happens. Like, everybody will monetize themselves differently. They will offer different things. And sometimes you just gel with certain people. Like, there are going to be plenty of people that listen to me talk or in my Discord or whatever, and I am just not for them. And that's fine. That's the nature of the world. Like, think about this. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, probably 50% of the people that could meet you would hate you. But that's fine. That still means there's 4 billion people that might like me. That's 4 billion. We fucking winning. So yeah, and that for anybody who's thinking about coaching, if you can, have a look at somebody's stuff, watch their content, see if their personality gels for you, dip your toes, see if it's for you, and then kind of go from there. Art of War, their big strength is that they have so many different coaches. And, they recruit people like one of my good friends, Alex, got recruited to Art of War sort of early on with us meeting each other in the tournament scene and everything else. And he's a fucking excellent player. And he's a great coach. He does a lot of that stuff, just kind of like he helps out a bunch of people in the New South Wales tournament circuit. If that's the quality of people they're looking for, then they will have somebody that will gel with you, that will be able to help you, that will kind of vibe with what you need. So, yeah. As an example, I find Grundy approachable. Just got to find who gels. 100%. Check Art of War. Yeah, they're really fantastic, and they've got so much more content than I could ever put out because they're a team of people with a bunch of faction specialists. But just, yeah, find something that works for you. Fix the Tower. What are you talking about? They're sitting at 49% win percentage. This is not comments. This is Facebook. Actually, let me go back to Hobbit, the browser view, because then I can zoom it in. Oh, that's a little bit too far in. Sitting at a 49% win percentage, and GW just fixed the nerf of the retaliation card, caused it to fall 1%. 50% is the goal by GW, and as long as you're in 50% win ratio, you're not going to get any improvements or nerfs. I don't think they realized that as of the last tournament data, we were sitting at like 39%. So, do you know what was at the 50% mark? Auxiliary Carter. Do you know which group attacked me the worst for saying that OxCAD was good? It's going to scroll up to Tau Empire. Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird. So you're telling me the group that attacked me for our only 50% win rate detachment also didn't watch the stream and is like, lol, fuck you. Do we need fixing? Do you play Tau? And on top of that, a lot of people don't realize that this is a, like, you're on YouTube, you have to have something that makes people want to click. Please Fix Tao is something that people react to. They don't realize that shit like this, I don't give a shit if they like me or they don't. Likes for the like god, content for the algorithm. That's it. You hate me, my algorithm goes up. You like me, my algorithm goes up. And me as a creator, if I want to do this full time, if I appropriately titled every video I did with long ass descriptions so that there were caveats and whatever else, nobody would fucking click on it. Nobody would watch it, because I've tried doing that at the start when I was young and dumb and full of semen. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. The word there should be cum. Everybody, it should be cum. It's the title of a porno, which, you know, is an old one now, but it's the first one I watched when I was in Air Force Cadets. But anyway, we're this dude who was like the degenerate of the group of our friends, and he walks in. We're having a house party, and he walks in. He's like, "Yep, tonight's film is young, dumb, and full of cum." And he puts it on, and like a group of us, like guys and girls, were just sitting around watching porn. And then this will shock you, but a bunch of people ran off after that and like started hooking up and banging. It's such a weird coincidence that the two things would happen. But yeah. So like if I appropriately title everything, nobody fucking watches. And like I've got my dedicated fans, and that's fine. But you want to expand. You want to increase your reach. You want to start hitting videos of like, you know, tens of thousands or 100,000 views, or like get to the point of Bricky where like millions of people are watching. You don't do that without doing the thing that made YouTube successful in the first place. And I don't think this is clickbait. I genuinely think removing this right at the top for the greater good, line 2 and daisy chaining will fix our faction, because at the moment, this shit feels bad. This shit feels bad. But yeah. But everybody wants to form opinions more than they want to actually be correct or be right. They want to have their opinion and have everybody listen to them. As the nature of humanity. That's how we evolved. We don't do well with not being right, because we evolved from identifying patterns and becoming, because we didn't have a lot of the evolutionary tools to dominate other creatures outside of our intellect. But people don't really invest a lot into their intellect because they're fucking dumb. That's not to say people commenting on here are dumb, but like there are some people that are genuinely like egregious and aggressive in how much they try and fucking hate me. For saying something as simple as Oxcat is really good. And then it's our only 50% win rate detachment. Yeah. Facebook comments are cancer! I really do think competitive teams getting early access to rules changes and having so much input is a negative impact to the competitive community being taken more seriously. How so? Because, like, from a performance at tournament standpoint, I agree. But from a feedback perspective, you want, like, those are the players you want feeding stuff back to GW. You don't want the fucking Facebook Andes feeding stuff back, because they're like, they can barely think. They're sitting there with drool coming out of the side of their mouth, being like, Oxcat is bad. Tau need no fix. Ha! And like, you know, it's fine having Neanderthals existing. But, you know, you want your high-level competitive players feeding back to GW being like, hey, this is how, like, top-level players are using it. This is the abuse case. This is the whatever. That's how GW gets, like, really, really good fix. And I think they've started doing that. I think that's why our game is in a much better state. Because the competitive bar is being risen all the time. Because we're, you know, we've never been this visible in terms of tournament players to the rest of the world and to the community and whatever else. And so GW can, if they, like, let's say they have a development team that's like, okay, we want to know about this. I'm going to load up Art of War's video. I'm going to load up Jay's video. I'm going to load up this, that, the other, whatever. They have now resources to listen to people who might actually know what they're talking about and benefit and whatever. Thank you, Sarah. Want to buy a decent community? Sub to Jay. Join the Pantheon today. Your country needs you. But Tell Facebook genuinely somehow a collection of the worst 40k players I've ever seen, and many other groups can actually play the game. It's, well, I think this is the thing that, like, if people had some self-awareness, having casual players is fucking excellent for the game. You want to have a bunch of beer and pretzels players. You want to have a bunch of people that aren't super competitively minded, because a game exists, propagates, and becomes popular because it is for everybody. You saw this with D&D, that, you know, when it started to get some popularity, everybody started jumping on, and there are good and bad D&D players. There are groups that'll take it super seriously and play like Critical Role. There are groups that are never going to be able to do that, but they have a ton of fun just doing their thing. And it means that now everybody knows about D&D. With the Cavalverse coming, and I'm going to put it up so everybody can look at his beautiful fucking mug, because genuinely, like, my list of celebrities I can bang and Chelsea can't get upset is Henry Cavill 5 times. But having casual gamers is incredibly important for the life of your game. That's what makes it into a cultural icon. Let me go to live, because that's fucking setting off to the side. So having those players is great, but those players need to acknowledge where they're at. They need to understand. They're like, you know, the number of people I have commented like, oh yeah, but you forgot about this little rule that does blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I didn't forget about the rule. I can only make certain length of videos. If I mention and say everything, my videos become 3 hours and nobody will fucking watch them. Like, streams are fine for that because people want that long form content, but the contained stuff needs to be smaller. And I'm also like, what part of you thinks that if I'm like a top 20 Tau player in the world, that I have forgotten about that? And yeah, I might miss some shit every now and again if I'm like rapid firing through a video and I'm in presenter mode. But like, you don't even play competitively and you think that you've found the secret sauce that I've missed and whatever else. And that's the other thing. You look at a trend of, because we did study in psych, people that are inclined to listen to like conspiracy theories and stuff. And one of the big components of it is that people want to feel special. They want to feel like they know something that everybody else don't, that they have a secret answer. It's also the thing that drives a lot of people to things like religiosity. And when you've got, like, that is a core thing within humanity. All of us have, in one way or another, a little bit of an ego and something which has a lot of our self-worth tied to being better than the people that are around us. It exists in different forms in different people, but everybody has that little demon inside them. So you've then got people that won't be self-aware and go, you know what? I'm not as good a player as this person. I want to listen. Like, plenty of people will do that, but you will have these, like, you know, maybe like a 0.1% of a particular community that is like, oh no, this is what it is, and this is how simple it is, and if you don't do this, this is whatever. Like, look at anybody try and talk about like a complicated scenario and then present like a simple fix. Like, for example, our economy's falling apart, we have no healthcare, and we're in like a capitalist oligarchy. Maybe if we kick out all the Mexicans, that'll solve all our problems. It's that simple. They're the reason why everything's a problem. I don't like my life, and the reason why it's bad is because custodies have females now. That's why the world's falling apart, and I can't get excited about anything. Like, there are these really complex things, or sometimes even simple things, that people will put their own view onto, and then go, it's just this simple, and I came up with this, and I am the greatest because I came up with that, and you're all fucking welcome. That's what we gotta deal with. Miss Psycho Kitty, first time chatter, hi, I totally accept I suck at video games, lol. That is something that I've had to accept on certain types of video games. Like, I'll be good at a decent few, but I get into, like, I don't play COD anymore. I played that a lot when I was a kid, but like, I jump back into Battlefield because I played that a little bit, and like, you have like these fucking 12-year-olds that just like spin off a building and fucking no-scope you from across the map. And you're like, yep, no, I can't fuck with you. I can't fuck with you. Like, I did enjoy playing League of Legends at one time, and I do fuck with it every now and again, but like, there just hits a point, like, I'm 36. I'm not going to be good at MOBAs. I can't know life in the way that younger people can, and like, that's fine. I'm never going to be fucking challenger on League, and that's fine. I suck at that. I will stick to the stuff I'm good at. But thank you for the first time chat. I ordered some female Stormcast heads for newly built custodies. Nice, nice. I actually, and like, this is gonna elicit probably some hate, but at least it'll identify people I can remove from the channel. But I watched the cutscene where all of this came from, and I was looking at the fucking comments, And like the amount of like, not even people trying to have like a good faith argument about the law or whatever, people really showed their fucking colors in that, where there was a bunch of like, what is this heresy? Women can't be custodies, blah, 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 blah. Like actual fucking hard misogyny. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? At the very least, they didn't try and hide behind some bullshit fucking excuse for why they didn't like it. They outright came out and said, I don't want women in my hobby. And it's like, I thought the cutscene was pretty good. And there was a lot of people that were like, oh, you shouldn't be able to see a custodian moving. They're way too fucking fast. Like, well, I mean, yeah, but like then you wouldn't be watching a cutscene. You'd be watching some fucking blows. You'd be like, this is shit. And Loopy, the problem is all of 40k has been retconned. Every single part of it. Every part of 40k has been retconned. Necrons used to be Terminator knockoffs. Fucking, like, Space Marines used to be Enforcers that now have a new model and new whatever else. But, like, and like, I know that you know, but this is the thing that when I see people saying this, and I'm not going to get into this because I've already had this fucking discussion. I'll put up a clip on my YouTube channel of me talking about this before. But, like, somebody who says they can't be custodians because law retcons, all of 40k has been rewritten, and that's not a bad thing. Hear me out. Let me cook. If a retcon or a story change, like has happened in World of Warcraft, Warhammer, fucking Path of Exile, Diablo, like pick a fucking franchise. If that change brings more people into it, makes it more popular, is more representative, allows more people to get excited about a particular thing, and makes for better stories, the retcon shouldn't be a problem. The retcon shouldn't be a problem. But I have not had a single person point to me where the shitty retcon is with female custodians. Like, the cold hard truth of it is that the only reason people have a problem with this, nobody had a problem with Necrons being shitty Terminator knockoffs to actually being a really awesome, in-depth, cursed race. People have a problem with it because it's women. It's literally that simple. And I know I just made fun of people from saying that before, but like, look at the comments on that video. It's nobody gave a shit when Space Marines were changed to be awesome, badass super soldiers. Nobody had a problem with like a billion other rewrites that happened within the 40k universe. But now it's exploding because females got added. It's not a coincidence. It's like, it was very poorly handled, but how? How was it poorly handled? Because it was a cutscene. See, like, Pat, the problem with that, yes, it's hard law, but everything has been rewritten. Everything has been rewritten. And so if hard law exists, our 40k shouldn't have changed then from the moment that it was written. And I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think it was that. So Loopy, they declared it's always been so, but like, I haven't seen any arguments to say that like it hasn't been, because like there was an early book that somebody dredged up that actually referenced a female custodian. I'm almost 100% that existed. But even then, somebody being like, you can have the opinion of, you know, hey, GW, if we can't find that evidence. Let's say that doesn't exist, and what you're saying is 100% true. 100% true, there have never been female custodians. GW wants to add them, which again, nobody should have a problem with, because you can still have all male custodians. It doesn't affect any of you, but it does affect like young women that might want to do it. I personally love having Tau split between male and female. I fucking love that. I like the world, or the stuff that I interact with, to look like the world around me. I like it to not just be like a bunch of fucking white guys. Like, movies that are just a bunch of fucking white guys are fucking boring. Like, I love Watchmen, one of my favorite movies, and I said this before. Watchmen was one of my favorite movies because there were so many aspects to it. So many aspects to it. It was well written. It was well conducted. They were vulnerable. They were badass. They were flawed. They were all these different things. You can have the opinion of, hey, GW, come on. Like, it wasn't before. We don't care. Don't try and win brownie points. Just tell us that you're doing a rewrite. That's absolutely fine. But that's not what's happening out there. What's happening out there is people going, females can't be custodians. That is what's happening. They're not strong enough. They're like, women can't do that. It's a male thing only. That is what's being said. And if you want, I'll drag up the video, which I don't want to because then I'll get fucking demonetized. But all of the comments are, what is this heresy? Females don't exist here. Get your woke shit out of my game. Which it's not. It's absolutely not. Making a world work, and this is something J.R.R. Tolkien did incredibly. His world worked because it was broad. It was inclusive. He made male characters that cried and wept and felt and were vulnerable and still pinnacles of masculinity. That was a writer from like 100 fucking years ago. And yet he would be called woke right now because he included that. But it wasn't. He made a world which was like just engrossing because it was real. And this is actually something, if you want to watch a good film, watch a foreign film, not a Hollywood film. There are some Hollywood films that can be good. I don't think that just like writing off Hollywood in general is the way that we should approach things. But it's like there are, I find that a lot of the stuff with Hollywood at the moment, because you do like have a point that a lot of stuff is either like rehash shit or it's stuff that's done by like MBA douchebags that are just wanting to get a return on investment. And that's something, again, I'll suck the Lord of the Rings dick until like the cows come home. But like that's something that Peter Jackson did incredibly well. And like they actually gave him license to on the Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit's a different story. That one fell apart because it was a cash grab, even though it was the same person. But they got actors that actually engrossed themselves in their roles. They gave them time to film it. They gave them the resources to do it. They stuck to the core material as much as they could and only changed what they needed to work it as a film, because books 1-to-1 cannot go to film. Like it does not work in any way, shape or form. There are certain concessions that filmmakers have to make to take a book into film. And that's fine. But yeah, like I find that, yeah, a lot of Hollywood at the moment isn't like passionate filmmaker. Like look at Henry Cavill walking off The Witcher. Him being like, please don't fuck with the books that much. Please don't fuck with the books that much. Like, you need to do some stuff, but like, please don't, like, this is nowhere near the original stuff. You will deviate from it and it'll suck. And then it came out, and in later seasons, over and over again, it came out and it sucked more and more because they were moving away from good writing. Look at what happened to Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is a perfect fucking example. Once D&D ran out of stuff from George R.R. Martin, look at how that show just fell off a fucking cliff because they couldn't go from considered well-written stuff that took time. But do you know one thing that really gets me about the Custodes argument and female, like, I don't know if GW will ever go down the road of female space marines. I genuinely don't give a shit if they do or they don't. But one of the things that really gets me is that people take issue with, oh, females can't be strong enough to do this. Which I actually served with female soldiers in the military, and those girls would probably belt the fuck out of any of the, like, little men that are upset because women are able to be soldiers. But, on top of that, you live in a world where psychers exist. The warp exists. That, like, there is all kinds of tomfuckery. It is literally one of the most fantastical places that you could possibly fucking go that has more rule-bending shit than, like, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings combined. But no, women can't be custodians. And that is, this is the thing that I hate, seeing people that make a disingenuous argument of don't bring your woke into my game. They're the ones bringing politics in. Because it doesn't affect them. Women existing doesn't fucking affect them. But it does affect a generation of young girls that want to have people to look up to, want to have heroes, and want to enjoy a particular game. And actually, an exercise, if there's any people that are actually looking at this from a misogynistic perspective, even if you don't think you are, but deep down you actually are, I want you to go and look at your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other and go, hey, I want you to have less. I don't want you in my game. You don't deserve it. You're not strong enough. Go and see how that fucking conversation goes. And if that didn't make you feel a little fucking guilty, then you might actually be a sociopath. This whole fucking argument is so hard to make because 90% of people that have a problem with it are just fucking misogynists. Dude, preaching. And that's the hard thing, because you have people that are making good faith arguments about, like, I don't think there's inherently wrong with somebody saying, like, I really like the law the way it is. Please don't mess with it too much. I'm worried that you're going to fuck it up. But like, as you're absolutely putting out, the problem is that you've got a large percentage that are doing it because they are uncomfortable with women that are powerful. And they don't want them. They actually do want to gatekeep. It's not just a fucking, like, buzzword that's used. And have you noticed that the people that don't want woke in their stuff are the first people to cry about politics? They are the first people to make it a problem. Whereas, like, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They exist. No worries. Doesn't affect me. If something doesn't affect my life, why the fuck should I care about it? Like, it's literally me putting, and holy shit, this stream is derailed. So anybody who joined us for the actual Tau stuff, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it. But this is, now you're getting the real Jay experience. But yeah, like, fuck, what was I saying? Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, like, spending brain power on stuff that legitimately doesn't affect me. It's like people that get wrapped around the axles about how other people are living their life. Like, what couples are existing together, whatever. It doesn't affect me. And if it doesn't affect me, I shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion on it. I literally shouldn't. Like, or I can just be like, that's cool. Nice. I'll go back to enjoying what I enjoy. I give me more like I'm gay as fuck. Just do it better. That is a sentence I never thought I'd read. Well, like, live on whatever. It just, yeah. I don't want them to hyperspace ram their way into complete break from the universal constant within the setting, but they already have. The law has been rewritten so many goddamn times. It does not represent what it was. And so that's like, we need to accept when things move past what it was and look at, like, okay, do we like the new setting, and what parts of it can we like? Because within 40K, not everybody likes every part of it. Like, there are people that fucking despise that the blueberries exist and they have like plot armor, like super plot armor. There's a lot of people that just look at GSC and they're like, why the fuck do you exist? But just because we don't like certain parts of it doesn't mean that we can't find immense value in the stuff that exists for us. There are a billion people, well, not a billion, but, you know, I'm exaggerating for a story, that wish Tau didn't exist and believe that they should not exist in the setting, and that it was a betrayal when GW added them because they don't fit with Grimdark. Would anybody like to tell me that the thing that I adore so much shouldn't exist, and that I am wrong for existing within the setting? Been with my guy for 19 and a half years, head of the household with 3 kids together, caregiver and provider for the house. I guess maybe I didn't understand. I didn't even see what the previous, let's bring up, because that I think, yeah, I need more context on. I'm in the USA, so maybe I'm left out of this conversation, what we're talking about. No, it's a lot of US people that took issue with these changes. But I said in a previous stream, and I'll say it again. I want, because, like, I really do want to have a daughter. I'm having a son next month on Valentine's Day, which, because we're calling him Malleus, it's going to be renamed to Malentine's Day, so don't at me. But when my daughter comes into the world, do any of you think that I want her to have less? Do any of you think that I want her to be anything other than strong and capable and vulnerable and able to express her emotion, able to express her rage, able to enjoy whatever she wants to enjoy? She wants to play with dolls? Fuck yeah, let's do it. She wants to play with trucks. Fuck yeah, let's get those trucks and run over some hills. She wants to play 40k. All right, which faction do you feel like playing? I look forward to my daughter being able to experience the world as I got to experience it. And I know that that's a pipe dream because I am fully aware of the differences between how males and females interact with the world. And that is a fucking unassailable truth. But somebody cannot make the argument to me that your daughter should not be allowed to have heroes in the faction that she likes. Your daughter having heroes means that I lose something. I don't think that's a fair argument. Like I said, people making good faith arguments of like, I like the lore, this is what I fell in love with, this is whatever, I'm uncomfortable with change, that's fine. But you really need to ask yourself, am I uncomfortable with this change because it includes females? Because I didn't see the internet exploding on any of the other rewrites. I didn't. Assuming this is first child? Yeah, it is. Little Mally Boy's first child. Chelsea and I put off having kids because we wanted to solidify careers. Chelsea's still finishing a PhD. I was off going to war and doing a bunch of other stuff. And I'm really glad I did because I genuinely don't think I would have been a good dad when I was younger. I think I needed to go through a lot of changes. And yeah. Oh, and Pat, I'm not saying that there won't be people that are upset by it because the internet gets upset about like almost everything. But like, I'm talking a universal violent reaction. Like, I mean, you guys are aware that like writers get sent fucking death threats over including females, right? Death threats for including females in their stories. There can be no greater condemnation of where this is actually coming from than somebody getting death threats because how dare you include females in my game. 11, 14, and 15. FYI, I'm 41. Well, so I'm 36 and having my first. So, yeah. But 11, 14, and 15. God, you're getting into the golden years of Don't Talk to Me, Mum. Oh, my goodness. Hey, that was an episode on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Shit, what was I talking about that? I don't even remember. Me and my girl said we wouldn't consider kids until 30 at the earliest because we also think we need the experience. I'm glad I waited. Honestly, I am. And that's not to shit on anybody else's choice to have kids early on. But, like, I think I needed that experience. Me as a person needed to grow and stop being... Honestly, Wartime Jay never needed to come near being a caregiver at all. But I also had a lot of intellectual growing to do as well. I'm glad I did a degree before I went. But, getting death threats about women in settings, DC Parlov? Yeah, it was a setting. They're just jealous of whoever Storm Surge? Fucking based. And yeah, Tony, and like, I agree with that sentiment that like adding more aspects to your world, like Tolkien did, allows you to tell better stories. Can you imagine if every single Tau was only like male and was only Firecast? Jay, I love you, man. I love you too, Sarah. Can you imagine if they were only male and only Firecast? We didn't have our tall, lanky Aircast that I hypersexualized in. Oh my God, Pat's making me show some chest. All right. Oh, speaking of masculine. Oh my God. Oh yeah. I'm gonna pluck a hair for you. There you go. Got me a little chest hair. Just sitting there for you, Pat. Thank you for the redemption. But yeah, like it wouldn't be as engrossing. It wouldn't feel like the Tau that I fell in love with. And the same for like, you know, I get that like auxiliaries aren't for everybody, but the people that make the argument of like auxiliaries shouldn't exist, they're not Tau. I'm like, no, you know what? No. My Tau, because we have auxiliaries, because we do all of these things. Because we invite races in, we are a juxtaposition to the, and like people that make the argument, this is a similar sort of thing. It's not grim dark enough. If everything is grim dark, it's fucking bland. You need something which offsets the grimdark to make all of the darkness so much more confronting and worse. You need to have, like, where a naive race of people, of aliens that don't know much about the universe they're in are trying their fucking best and don't realize that we may actually just repeat the sins of the Eldari and the Imperium and like all these different things. And that creates interesting, deep storytelling. It, like, the more you add and do well, because I do agree with you, Loopy, it needs to be done well. Stuff that's shoehorned in, like, I am the most fucking left progressive person you will ever fucking meet. I am aware of my biases. But I can see stuff that is shoehorned in and fucking terrible and look at it and go, oh, come on, man, you could have given me a really great story. Don't do that. I'm not a fucking child. Don't, like... But then I also know that there's no world where I'm looking at that as somebody that harbors deep-seated, like, misogynistic or why am I, homophobic or, like, whatever the phobias might be. I know that I'm not harboring them, so I can look at that genuinely and go, that is poor writing. Fuck you, do better. But, the fourth sphere expansion is the nice hidden shame of the Tau. I think I might actually, like, properly read up on that and do a video on it, because I've heard that a few times, and I kind of love that, like, you have a good guy faction, but the good guy faction that is capable of falling is even more engrossing for the setting, because we don't want them to be perfect. We don't. You just want some, a faction that stands in contrast to the rest of the world, with people looking at them going like, we're waiting for you to fall. You're naive, so it's likely you'll repeat our mistakes. But then you've got shit like Eldrad, which is like, I see in the Tau something I haven't seen in, like, anything from, like, as far back as my race. Maybe they actually have hope. That is a cool, deep storytelling arc. Yeah. When Tau just go full commissar and any human they have the chance to. Yeah, and you can have a story where you have, like, all of these really dark themes, but then they learn from it. They make mistakes and they are, you know, because, like, the arcs of making mistakes and regret and repentance and all that sort of stuff can be incredibly engrossing. And I think that's something the Imperium needs to do a little bit more. Because it's great being in the setting where everything's like that real hard-line religious oligarchy and you know, all the stuff that comes with it. But I think stories within it, like Gilliman, is so interesting at the moment because he sees through it and he's like, oh my God, I fucking hate this. Like, you've burned the world me and my dad tried to build. That is engaging storytelling. Gonna print auxiliary proxies for my Tau army, so hype for it. Twirling Lizard Breaches will go hard. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Deaf waiting need to grow as a person. That's smart. That's self-aware. I think that parents that have kids too early end up, whether they realize it or not, fucking up their kids and, you know, carrying on generational problems. And I'm not saying I'm not going to make mistakes, but at least I've spent a little bit of time that I genuinely think I'm going to make less. And I don't want to do that shit to my kids because there was stuff that my parents did. They had me and my siblings really young and they made a ton of mistakes while we existed. And it fucked up me and my siblings in a bunch of different ways. And that's not shitting on my parents. They did the best job they knew how to do. Parents are just kids having kids. But I think if they got the time, if they got the chance to do it again, they might actually want to wait as well. It's, yeah. Can't understandable when you go warp travel with humans and no Gellerfield. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that, Sarah. And like, I never say any of that stuff as like a, you know, to diminish somebody else's experience. But yeah, like it's still, there's a lot of stuff that I know that my parents regret. And if they had taken the time, because they didn't know any better, if they had have taken the time, might have avoided it. And if I can do that, like all we can hope for generations is that the generation after us does it a little bit better. And if we do that, we're progressing as a society. And that's where we should be. But yeah. But how can they not be Tau? They've been around since third. I don't know, but like this is the thing with hate. I think this is the grand scheme of what we're talking about right now. Hate is not logical. Hate is not something that somebody can validate to us unless there is a direct cause and effect. Most hate that exists on the internet is something that as soon as you challenge somebody on it, they can't actually give you a good reason why that hate should exist. It's different if you talk to somebody who, like, you know, you go and talk to a Ukrainian who had their family and their home destroyed by Russia. I would understand the hate towards them. I understand the hate for World War II veterans to Germans or Italians or the Japanese or whatever else because of the experience they had to live through. But at the moment, having said that as well, hate then drives people to arcs of revenge, and we see this all the time. It's one of the things I love about Attack on Titan, as the only anime that I really will ever watch. It does the cycle of hatred and violence so well because it's so stupid. You can feel a certain way, but then when it drives you to propagate that cycle of violence, you are just continuing on to somebody else what was done to you. And it's senseless and it doesn't stop. And I think that's something that if I impart to anybody, I genuinely hope that in my hobby, people stop throwing hate at any part of our, like, I run tournaments and I have people that show up that are female, trans, little people, males, like every part of it. I want to see every part of my hobby coming to my events and enjoying it and feeling safe and, you know, existing in the space that I want, because I don't think there is ever a world where I want somebody to not enjoy what I enjoy. Why do people talk so passionately about their hobbies? They want other people to enjoy it with them. What the fuck is the point of locking somebody out because instead of a dick and balls, they've got a vagina? Or because they were born and felt differently to the way that you did, and so they're a little bit different. Like, it doesn't make sense, and when you examine it, it doesn't hold up. That would be the thing I would want to see extinct. And if somebody wants to enjoy something on their terms, they get to enjoy that on their terms. If it doesn't affect me, I don't give a shit. Power to them. Tony, I agree 100%. Like, women in Space Marines, custodians, all that sort of stuff done well is really, really fantastic. What I want is GW not dealing with a fucking PR nightmare where people are sending death threats over the fact that women exist, but rather that people like GW give us good stories. If you give us good stories, we will give you money. We will love your setting. We will do whatever. That should be the focus. But unfortunately, the focus gets muddied by people arguing bad faith bullshit because they're tiny little men that can't accept that women might be strong and powerful and broken and whatever else and exist in the same space that they do. And that's not everybody. There are people that have good faith arguments too. And there are some reasons why sometimes law shouldn't be changed just for the sake of changing it. But even if something doesn't benefit you, doesn't mean that a change is bad. We need to look outside ourselves and look at other people. And that's what I think most of the internet doesn't do. They go, well, I don't like this, so therefore it's bad. No. If it's good for somebody else, but it doesn't benefit you, it's good. Somebody else having a wonderful time at something that isn't for me, but doesn't affect me, I would be an asshole for trying to take that away from them. But, yeah. Black Templars vent in the chat. Oh no, everybody fucking run! So, Marble, like, I get what you say, and I can see a world of that, but, like, I would also argue, like, listen to Bricky talking about the sisters. He loves them because the sisters are not fucking feminine. They're not attractive, they're not whatever. They are badasses in their own right. But I see what you mean, where there's an angle of storytelling where, like, you have these juxtapositions of tone, of culture, of whatever else, that can be well done. And I think that, like, that could be an argument for, like, if you give us these really immersive stories, that could be something. And I love the idea of the custodians being really human because, like, all of the Primarchs, hear me out on this. Let me cook. All of the Primarchs absorb something of the Emperor. Every single one of them. What if the custodians absorbed his humanity? And they represent his connection to the people that he's the God Emperor of. They are the bridge, like they're still demi-humans, but they represent a bridge between a God Emperor, the Primarchs, and the average sort of human. Like the Space Marines can be the enforcers. They are the unyielding wave of bodies that don't give a shit. And like you've got Space Wolves and Salamanders actually do care about civilians a bit, whatever, but they can have all their different aspects or whatever. That could be an argument. What I will never listen to is not arguments like that, which are good faith arguments, but bad faith arguments, where somebody says something shouldn't exist, and they don't, even if they don't say it outright, you can read between the lines and go, you don't like this because it's women. You don't give a shit about the law. You don't give a shit about this, whatever. You give a shit that women have something and you don't like that. And that's, I think, something that pisses me off a little bit, because it's coming up more and more. Like, and I said this in the other stream that I had, that like, most people don't realize that they're just being pointed at each other by people we should be fucking pissed off at, which are like corporate entities that are making everything more expensive. 99.9% of all the money in the world is owned by 0.1% of people. And they point you at other people of different races, different colors, different religions, different sexes, people that sit outside of that from the LGBT community, all that sort of stuff. They point you at each other, and people happily pick up their fucking pitchforks while they rob you blind and get away with it, because everybody's too busy fucking worrying about whether custodians are female or not. I know that's not the entire thing, but like, yeah. Hey, Sama, brother, praise Space King. Oh my god. Oh my god. Trans individuals in my LGS had a furry Astro Militarum army dubbed the Catians. I just thought to myself, damn, I'd hate to get my ass kicked by that army. I'd kind of love to have my ass kicked by the army. That sounds fucking badass. I mean, I've never been into furry stuff, but that's not for me. But again, doesn't affect me, so, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's one thing I do love that I think is a big argument for being all sorts existing within the hobby, which is that, like, the creativity that can come out of it. The ideas that you get, the sharing of those ideas and how to create these incredible armies. Like, there is some cool shit out there. But if everybody just does the same thing and it's all vanilla and bland and it's a bunch of white guys, you know, holding their guns, you don't get shit. And actually, some of the most creative stuff that I've seen in my track in the hobby, and yes, this is anecdotal evidence, but it's been my experience. I've seen some of the most creative stuff from females and trans and you know, a lot of different people that others are barracking against, but I have been able to see some of the coolest shit from that. And that's not to say that, like, you know, male players that I rub shoulders with regularly and rub other things at tournaments, what happens at a tournament stays at a tournament. You know what I mean? That's not to say that they're not incredible individuals as well. But I've gotten to see so much more that I wouldn't have been able to see if these other people weren't allowed to participate and join us and be a part of it. But anyway, I am probably going to go and take a little break. I am going to chuck up another stream, Twitch only. So if you haven't followed me on Twitch, do so. I'm actually keen to maybe do some hobbying, put together the new Ethereal. And then tonight, I think Charles and I are going to play some Space Marine. Maybe we'll even have the Mythical Beal join us and hit the terminal finally. But yeah. A bunch of white guys holding guns. Why'd you have to call out our American elementary school system? All right. Gun control may be something that I touch on in a future stream, but I've probably already got 30% of the internet ready to send me death threats right now. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. But I will leave it at that. I will only step on so many landmines in one stream. But I do want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has joined us, and for everybody that, like, the last conversation we had can be a divisive topic, but I will never shit on somebody for speaking and communicating in good faith. Not all of us are going to agree, and sometimes I'll be in the wrong, sometimes the other people will be in the wrong, but you don't ever get past that without talking to each other and sharing ideas and, you know, genuinely looking at, hey, am I in the wrong here? Am I in the right? Should I be arguing for this? So I want to say thank you to everybody that engaged in these conversations in good faith. Also, a big thank you to all of my patrons who make all of my videos possible. If you would like to join them, get access to coaching, the Discord, the events that I run, head to links in the description on YouTube and you'll be able to get access from as little as $5 a month. Make sure that you follow me on Twitch. I will be back up in probably an hour or two. We'll do some hobbying, we'll do some games, and it has been wonderful seeing all of you here for the stream. Don't forget, Tau don't need fixing. Facebook said so. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.